What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And I'm Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo!
Woo! Hooray!
This week,
Yes.
we're going to watch this movie, or we're talking about this movie, the one that we saw. I can't even think of anything clever to say about it. I don't know.
I got it. This week, we do the smash hit of HBO Max that got everyone buzzing, involved with a cinematic universe and actors who typically appear in superhero movies. Mm-hmm. For some reason, there's a lot of them in here. At least 4.
Oh, yeah. If not more, you know? If you count 4 MCU and then a couple of other
MCU.
Stragglers.
Yeah.
4?
So...
Yeah, 4 MCU. Can you name them?
There might even be a 5th if you want to count Agent Carter, because Shea Wingham is like one of the leads on that show. But people have trouble with that one. Not like people have trouble with it, but it's debatable whether it is or isn't canon anymore.
Oh,
well,
I remembered the 4th.
Can you name the main 4? Okay.
Yeah, no.
Who are you stuck on? I'm just curious.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one that you're like, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's great in it. He's just only in one, which is how they get you. That's how they trick you.
Yep.
But yeah, we're talking, of course, like DJ described, about a little movie called Kong Skull Island, 2017's Kong Skull Island.
Yep.
It's a movie. It's so great.
Wait, hold on, Nando. I think you mean slow-mo, dramatic close-up.
Yeah.
S-K-U-L-L Island.
I mean, in this movie, it would be that, like, this movie is just as heavy-handed, but it instead would be like, I can't even, like, skull, bow, bow, now, now, like, with a song from the Vietnam War, just so you totally get the metaphor. Also, in this movie, why is it called Skull Island? Why is the island called Skull Island?
It looks like a skull.
It looks like a skull.
To who?
It vaguely looks like a skull.
From the
but to
satellite
people
picture.
with planes, right? Like,
well, and the satellite images.
yeah, but who? The people that named it that before, because he doesn't say, I'm calling it Skull Island. He's like, it's called Skull Island. Who else? Did the people that live there also take satellite images and go like, oh yeah, skull. It's like a skull.
Maybe they knew.
Or
maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's like, oh, Skull Island. No, it happens to look like a skull. Isn't that fun?
Well, because there are skeletons in it. They have a fight in some skeletons, and I'm like, are these supposed to be the
boneyard.
skulls? Yeah.
A Kong boneyard.
Because, like, in the original King Kong movie from back in the day, it is shaped like a skull, I believe.
From the front, like,
yeah, and
as
then
you approach, like, oh, it's a big skull.
Well, and then in the one from 2005, it just has skulls everywhere. So it's almost like this one was just like mashed both of them, and it was like, it looks like a skull and it's full of skulls. But either way, yes, we're watching King Kong or Kong: Skull Island. Before we get to that, oh yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, by the time you're listening to this, is like not. I doubt it's the top 8 thing looked at on the HBO Max app by the time that we're recording this before Justice League comes out, by the way. I mean, just so people don't think we're crazy.
And for people that are confused, like if you are, we're doing this as a run up to Godzilla v Kong or whatever we're calling that. So like that's coming up pretty soon, and I do think there are quite a few people that'll probably be like, yeah, I didn't really care about any of those DC movies, so I'm not going to watch this Justice League movie, but they're putting out the King Kong movie, so let me get caught up on that. How many movies from that universe are in this streaming service? 2? Okay. Well, I got to start with the Kong Skull Island then, since Godzilla isn't in there for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
It's great. But we're going to talk about Kong Skull Island, and yeah, we don't have any Justice League Snyder Cut hot takes yet. But before that, how's everybody doing this week? Oscar nominations, we were talking about those a little bit before the show. Are we excited about them? Is it great that they're finally giving Sacha Baron Cohen his like go for Oscar?
Yeah, he finally got justice for doing a movie. I forget where I saw this, but there's only been 2 movies where the original and the sequel both got nominated for Best Screenplay and an Oscar, and the first one is The Godfather, and the second one is Borat, which is pretty amazing.
I think I know where. I thought I heard that from Diggins. Didn't you post that in the group, Diggins?
I did. I mean, it was someone else's tweet. I'm not the one who said it. But yeah, I posted that for
my bad.
That's fair.
I just can't remember where I get all my content from. There's so many places.
I just assume if it's a smart thing like that, I got it from Diggins or just like random Twitter. But yeah, I can usually assume that's where I got it from.
If it's smart or stupid, it came from me.
Yeah, that's fair.
No in between.
Yeah, if it's on one of the polls. I will say, out of all the things I'm excited for, I mean, I really do want the Borat. I want Maria Bakalova to win. I want her to beat
she won't, bless
Glenn
her
Close.
heart, but that would be sick.
Who's going to beat her? Amanda Seyfried for Mank, the movie no one really likes. Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, the movie everyone hates.
Probably that one.
Olivia Colman for The Father, a movie no one saw. Or one of the actresses from Minari, which maybe that could do it, but I don't think she, people... I don't know. I feel like there's no there's no name recognition of that actress if you haven't seen the movie and you don't really know who she is. But I feel like the Borat one. Me and James were talking about this, but she deserves an award just for touching Rudy Giuliani a couple of times,
right?
So that could be a fun
point. Great point. Nando.
That could be a fun thing. Thank you.
Great point. Speaking of, by the way, real quick. Speaking of Glenn Close and Hillbilly Elegy. She is the first actress ever to be nominated for a Razzie and an Oscar for the same performance.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that she's the first. It's definitely not common.
Oh, really?
I know.
I thought it was the first.
What's her name won 1 year? Sandra Bullock won both for different roles 1 year. I remember that.
Yeah, it's the same role.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it could be. I mean, a lot of the time the Razzies are like that, or it's either there are a bunch of different people, or sometimes the Razzies seem to just pick one movie and go down the list and be like, this guy from Doolittle, this guy from Doolittle, this guy from Doolittle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I've there's a lot of good stuff there. Wolfwalkers has a shot. Soul has something for like screenwriting, not screenwriting. Excuse me. The soundtrack. So that's something. How about the Octopus one for Best Documentary? Either of you guys watch that? My Octopus Teacher? It's supposed
I have
to be
not
just
seen that, no.
It's supposed to stink. So,
really?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I watched a fun video about it by Maggie Mayfish on just like why it's weird. It's pretty fun.
Is it a spinoff of Octopus Dad?
It could be. I haven't. What is Octopus Dad?
Isn't that video game where the dad's an octopus?
Oh,
just kidding, he's a normal guy.
Yeah, Is it Octodad?
Oh, Octodad.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Octopus Dad. That would have been way too on the nose. It's Octopus Dad.
Yeah, it might be. It definitely probably is, actually. Because the character that is the human just looks like a normal guy, He doesn't look like an octopus. He interacts with octopuses.
That's the same thing with Octodad. He's just a regular dad.
Just a regular guy. And then the other interesting thing... Oh, yeah?
Amy Irving for her role in the movie Yentl was nominated for both an Oscar and a Razzie.
Oh,
wow. I got.
Very good. DJ, you're nominated for both an Oscar for knowing that fact and a Razzie for not knowing the thing Diggins said about it.
Yeah, for being incorrect, basically.
You're the third one.
James Coco also nominated for the same role in Only When I Laugh.
So is this a more common thing than...
No, they're the only three ever.
Okay. So it is actually exceedingly rare.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty rare that they deserve it as much as, like, Hillbilly Elegy, just people don't like it and it stinks. So Glenn Close is probably fine in it, but it's helpful when the movie just has an unbelievable amount of goodwill, or bad will, but good actors that can... like snag an award nomination.
Plus, don't forget the writer is going to be a senator from Ohio soon.
Oh my God, really?
Is that a real thing?
He's running for it, almost certainly.
Oh. And he'll win because, whatever.
I mean, we'll see.
I mean, he's a Hollywood elite, so there's nothing that can stop him right now, The other thing that was interesting about the awards, no Tenet, basically. barely any Tenet.
They got one nom.
Yeah, for best
one and
effects.
only one.
They didn't even get the one for the score that you can't hear the dialogue over. It's great. I'm so happy.
I think I might posit in a world of no COVID and like everything's normal and it gets the big release and big this and big that, I think it gets more shine. I don't know if it gets like a best like best movie, but maybe Nolan gets it for directing,
probably more technical
I could see
awards
that.
At least.
Yeah. I could have seen that being a scenario in the world of no COVID. But it's crazy because, there really were no, outside of Tenet, like big, gigantic, exploding movies that were released in 2020. So
right.
it's just gone. Like it's not there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think if this year was normal, if 2020 was normal, there would have been some movies that probably, like you would have had your Eternals, you would have had your Space Jams, your Godzilla v. Kong. So there would have been other movies that could have maybe, taken some of the, even like the special effects love off of Tenet. I think if more people saw it, more people would be like, yeah, it's not that great. Because I just think it wasn't like I think it would have disappointed quite a few people. But I mean, it would have to contend with. It would have been a weird year for animated, honestly, because you would have Soul, Wolfwalkers, Onward, Raya and the Last Dragon, and maybe Space Jam. I don't know. Does Space Jam count?
I don't think Space Jam was getting nominated.
Yeah, because we'll see next year, but I don't think Space Jam's going to get a nod.
I could see Space Jam having some pretty impressive effects. You don't think so? I think Space Jam could be really cool looking.
But it's more than the effects. It's like Tom and Jerry's a bad example. But it's the content of the movie that kind of gets you there. And,
right, not having big rabbit boobs is what will make the Academy give up on it.
Yeah, too many Oscar voters are going to be like, damn, they toned down the rabbit boobs. I can't vote for this.
Yeah. Oh, and Venom, which actually got moved this week to September. That was going to be last year, so you could have gotten it. That wouldn't have gotten that one. But also there was a Boss Baby movie, The Boss Baby 2, which Boss Baby 1 got nominated for Best Animated, so why wouldn't other movies? And then you got stuff like Dune. I think they would have sucked the air out of Tenet no matter what. I think No Time to Die and Dune would have taken the spot that it has now, and it would be just left in the dirt. But yeah, we'll see. But
we shall see.
Looking at a list of movies next year, we got some interesting ones. We got Cruella. We got In the Heights. We got the Fast and Furious one. So many good movies.
Didn't that get pushed again?
Which one?
Fast for 9.
I think it's still in 2021. I think it may have gotten pushed back. Oh no, I think the problem with F9, it was originally supposed to be in May. So you're right. It was originally going to be in May of 2021. They bumped it back to June. And that's what forced Venom back, because that took Venom's.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, you know what else maybe would have gotten some love for the from the Academy? The Top Gun movie. The Academy loves Tom Cruise, and
that's true.
Yeah. So, and speaking of Cruise, there's Jungle Cruise, the movie where The Rock is in the jungle. Finally, there's so many movies. Could have been so many. There were so many movies that could have taken that spot.
So I have a question for you two gents.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, Nando, there's a ton of movies coming out this year. Might be a good year for a movie pass resurgence with all the movies and potential movie going. But I have a question for you two gents. Do you foresee, once you're vaccinated and all good and everything's, looking more squared up, do you see yourself going back to the movies?
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be great because there's not going to be kids. I mean, there might be kids, but it will be less people in the movie theater. So, that first month of just Godzilla v. Kong and Space Jam and far fewer people is going to be a dream.
I don't think I'm going back anytime soon.
Really? Why not?
I don't know. I just don't.
Because of the ancient witch's curse, Nando.
Yeah, but I also have the curse. But I am very interested in getting in on this whole, first month of movies. I want the popcorn. I want to be able to watch King Kong on a big screen. I do. And that I think that's going to be a big part of it.
I think the only one that I'll want to go out for, like the first like big one, will be like Fast and Furious. I can see myself wanting to go out for, but like honestly, just for a lot of these, I think I'm good just kind of seeing them at home and chilling. It's so much less hassle. It's so convenient. I could talk to Michelle. I actually kind of like that we could just like talk during the movie. I don't know.
Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is that a monster?
Talking
I would never
during
do it in
a
the
movie?
theater.
Well, yeah, of course.
I would never do it.
Of course, I'm not saying you're like inconsiderate. I'm just saying you're a monster.
Right.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting.
Yeah,
unless
it's tough.
it depends on the vibe, but generally, like if I'm watching a trashy movie with friends, I'll talk over it as much as I want. But like, even when I'm just in a place with friends, I don't want to talk over a movie. I want to watch the movie.
Wow.
I think there's some movies that I will feel okay talking over, like this one, Kong vs. Kong Skull Island. We'll talk about. Yeah. There were quite a few moments where I talked to the person I was watching it with, and we had like a fun, some fun thing that enhanced the experience of a movie where most of this runtime is devoted to posing. So it's like, yeah, fuck it, talk. It doesn't matter. You're not going to miss anything. There's no plot. Every character's the same. But I do think that there's going to be the problem with movie theaters is people are just going to be spontaneously having sex in the movie theater, There's people that have been cooped up all year that are just going to see another human being of a number, like kind of, the sevens are going to see other sevens and go, let's do it. And we're going to have to it's going to be like going to I don't know, the swamp and swatting mosquitoes away and just being like, they're everywhere. It's going to be like that.
I do think that could be a problem.
People boning.
Nando, your theory is not that couples are going to go out to movie theaters and have sex with them. It's that
Absolutely
people are going to go to movie theaters, see another human being, and they are both going to decide we're getting it on right now.
That's 100% it. I can see versions of it where there are dates that go way too well, way too quickly, and it's the first date at the movie theater. But I can also see strangers just being close enough to each other that one of them accidentally graces the other person's they just touch an arm or something and they go, right, this. And then they just throw each other into the row between the seats and clothes fly up. And it's kind of like in cartoons where there's just a big puff of kind of smoke and arms and legs are coming in and out of it as the action is happening. So that'll be annoying. But if I can get over that, I think it'll be a fun experience.
So you have Sodom and Gomorrah happening, just crazy all the time. Wow, it's
going to be Leap Day in 30 Rock, where it's just a day that doesn't count and everybody goes crazy. We're going to have to live with that for a couple months. It's healing. The world is healing, you guys.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know. It's something that I do think it will be annoying to watch people re-socialize in general and be at a movie theater and take out their phone. But the thing is, in a movie theater, for me and TJ, because of the curse, taking out a phone is normal for us to see. So it won't be the re-socialization won't be as big of a deal. I think it'll be people farting and being like, oh, right, I'm outside. Just really letting one go. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. I also think people might just be like, I'm in a movie theater. I'm going to take this seriously because I could have stayed at home. I do think we'll get a more selective audience for movies that the HBO ones where you could watch it at home. So maybe that'll make the movie theater audience better. That was kind of my thought originally when this started, but who knows? I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited for the Godzilla v. Kong one. I'm glad that I have been vaccinated and I'll be not fully vaccinated. Well, I'll be fully vaccinated probably while it's still in theaters and not just fully vaccinated, but get the vaccine, then wait 2 weeks. So I think I will be able to go see that movie in a theater. I'm excited. I don't understand why they didn't push it back a month or 2 months. Now that it does kind of seem like there's a finish line. Why not?
Yeah.
Why that's the only one out of all of the movies they're releasing that I legitimately would rather see in a theater than at home. So it's weird. Maybe Dune. I don't know. We'll see about Dune. But either way, guys, big Kong Skull Island. The Kong from Kong Skull Island is going to be in that movie. Speaking of Kong from Kong Skull Island, let's talk about it.
Let's.
Guys, the IMDb summary, someone came up with a great idea, and we can't do it this week, but maybe next week. The idea was this, and maybe we can't do it next week either. I read you guys the summary. Not read you guys the summary. I make you guys guess the summary. Whoever gets it closest is the new champion of the summary, and then I rejoin the pool with the other person who didn't get it, and that's how we decide who wins.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Were people mad of you not guessing summaries and just leaving it to me and Diggins?
Yeah, maybe they were just like, he's got it too easy. He just gets to not have to look like an idiot every week, like by being like, that wasn't it. But it does feel more fair. I can't remember who suggested it, but let me see. I'll probably find it.
While you find that, I think the issue with this is it might really expose me, because when you play monkey in the middle and you're bad at it, you're just stuck in the middle forever because you'll never catch the ball.
That's
true. You're the monkey forever. I think that'll be me with just you and Nando switching out. I'm sorry, you and Diggins switching out periodically.
You've
and I'm just
won
going to be
before.
like, I want to throw the ball.
I mean, I love you've done very well, and also I might be terrible at this. So there could be a world where I'm just very bad at it.
Unless Nando and I agree to collude and just always award the win to the other and keep you permanently trapped in this stasis.
Oh man, great. Collusion. We'll have to talk to our old friend Robert Mueller. Was that his name?
I think so. There was a guy that did something about collusion, I think.
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, right. It was always cool, and we always liked him. But we can't do that now because I already read it, and we can't do it next week because I already read that one too. But after that, maybe
Nando's just going ahead reading every IMDb summary he possibly can.
We read the Snyder Cut one on the pod last week. Remember, I was like, I gotta check on this. So that's a special case. Next week I won't. But okay, guys, what do we think? Kong Skull Island. It's directed by Jordan Boat Roberts, written by a bunch of people. It's got a lot of Marvel actors in it. Who won last week?
I believe I did.
Okay, yeah, you did. That's right. DJ, you get to choose first or second.
I'll go first because I believe Diggins went first last time, so I will go first.
All right, DJ, what do you think the IMDb summary for this movie is? It's not super long.
Okay. A team of scientists and soldiers must go to the mysterious Skull Island, where they encounter the ancient King Kong, who starts as a foe but turns friend as they must work together to defeat monsters who have been awoken on the island.
Okay. Diggins, I want to hear yours. And if you do one thing correctly, I will say ding, 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 and I'll just declare you the winner before you even say more words.
Oh, boy.
Go crazy.
Pressure's on.
A secretive government agency leads an expedition to a mysterious island in the Pacific filled with horrible monsters, giant creatures, and John C. Reilly. Their only hope of survival, the king of this island, a giant gorilla known as Kong.
Okay, I'm going to give it to DJ again.
Woo!
DJ started pretty well, and I think you both kind of got most of the specifics, but team of scientists is in there, so I was like, that's pretty good. Diggins, you had Pacific, which was helpful, but neither of you said the thing that I think would have been the ding, ding, ding thing that if one of you had said this, that person would have probably won, regardless of everything else. You want to take a guess? It's the first sentence, the first clause in this thing.
During the Vietnam War.
After the Vietnam War, that's correct.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, you still won, DJ. After the Vietnam War, a team of scientists explores an uncharted island in the Pacific, venturing into the domain of the mighty Kong, and must fight to escape a primal Eden. Yeah.
Oh, God, primal Eden.
I know. that there was no way either of you were getting that, which is why I thought, the Vietnam is I think it's almost like they Control F, find to replace, just regular setting, and then every time there was something like that in the script, they just wrote Vietnam setting, Vietnam song, Vietnam shot.
Oh God,
it's just as Vietnamese as you could get. But yeah, otherwise I think you both did pretty well.
I mean, if one of us got Primal Eden, you'd have to give us the win.
That's true.
Yeah,
if one of you had Vietnam, one of you had Primal Eden, that'd be tricky. But I think I still would have given it to Primal Eden. But guys, this movie, it's got all kinds of stars. I'll name some stars, and then DJ can tell me what he thinks of it. You got Tommy Hiddleston, baby. Tom Hiddleston.
Tommy Hiddleston? Yeah. Is that what we're calling him now?
Tommy Hiddleston. That's his Hollywood nickname.
See, I'm not on the internet, so I don't, get these things. So,
I just say that for everybody. Johnny Ryle, Sammy Jacks,
DJ,
Bree.
DJ, can you meet me outside of the bit? Can you meet me outside of the bit for a second?
Yeah, let me meet you outside the bit. Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, we're safely outside of the bit now. You know we're kidding, right? You know that nobody calls him Tommy Hits, right?
Oh, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Well, that means I just got real hard.
Hey, by the way, sorry, I saw you guys outside of the bit, and I wanted to be very clear. Maybe people he knows call him that. I don't know that. It might be his real name, and if you call him that in real life, he like talks to you and is like, "Oh my God, you're my great grandfather." Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna go get back in the bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for explaining that to me, Diggins, because, the problem is, because I'm not on the internet, you guys, when you're inside of bits, could very easily fool me and be like, oh, yeah, it's, didn't you know that on the internet he's referred to as,
Yeah? What's your joke answer here, DJ? Come on.
Vin Diesel Foshizi. That's just what they call him. That's what they call him the whole time. Vin Diesel Foshizi.
Very good.
I mean, we call him very good. We call him Mark Sinclair on the internet. Actually, we really want to hammer home that Vin Diesel is a made-up name. But no, you got Tommy Hiddleston as James Conrad. First time I've heard that name. Sammy Jacks as Preston Packard. That name I think I heard quite a few times. Packard,
I heard Packard.
I think was screamed.
I definitely heard Packard.
Yeah.
Brie Larson as Mason Weaver. I do think I remember hearing Mason as well. Johnny C. Reilly as Hank Marlowe, and then a bunch of others, including I'll say these three, not like three, but let's say so you got Johnny Goodman, Speed Racer Zone as Bill Randa. You got Johnny Ortiz. Fast Four's own Victor Nieves? I don't remember.
Nieves.
Nieves. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. And then you got Toby Keeble, Lee, Koba, Ape No Hurt Ape's own as Jack Chapman.
Yeah, Major Chapman, the best character, based off name alone.
He just loves his kids so much.
I was like, oh, Billy, dear Billy Chapman. I have to say, the callback in the movie to Dear Billy, I don't have a good feeling about this was just awful. This is like the worst callback is when they would just say, Dear Billy.
I don't remember this callback. I'm a little confused.
Wait, really?
Describe this to me. What do you mean, Dear Billy?
So, Major Chapman was writing this
like his letter to his son.
Yeah, and then sometimes the soldiers would just say, so as they were flying to the storm, they're like, Dear Billy, ever just want to go fly into a hurricane? And then they're like, through the swamp, they're like, Dear Billy, I hate trudging through the swamp. Or like, Dear Billy, your dad lied about getting home to you. Do you not remember this? They called back to it throughout the movie. It really
didn't help that I didn't know any of their names. So I think if I heard a name, I'd just go, I guess that's this one of these wisecracking boys.
It really
there were a bunch of guys whose name I couldn't even guess.
I mean, there's a couple. Did you guys watch The Good Place?
I did watch The Good Place.
One of the soldiers was Pillboy from The Good Place.
Yes, he was.
And one of them was Sean. From The Good Place.
Probably a more notable character than Pillboy.
That's what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to mention Sean.
Well, he is in many things, and I haven't seen Pillboy in another thing, so I'm like, oh my god, Pillboy. Whereas I feel like Sean I see all over the place.
My frame of reference is that he is Josh's boss at the Aloha Tech Hut in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
My frame of reference is, I'm looking at his IMDb page. I'm going to come up with something really funny. What do we got?
Good luck. Good luck.
It's tough. My frame of reference is he is in one episode of Mandalorian, but I can't remember what it is. So that's not
really?
It. Yeah, he's in the fourth one, the one with name redacted actress and the big giant AT-AT. That cool one. We like that one. The one where Baby Yoda drinks the little thing. You know what he is in, and this is honestly where I recognize him from. He shows up a lot in Comedy Bang Bang, the show. He's been in 3 episodes. All of which I'm assuming I've seen because I watched that whole series. I don't remember him, but he is one of those faces that, he pops up on things very, from time to time. He was also apparently in a series of online shorts. So I think he used to be a UCB guy. And he played Manti Te'o in Manti Te'o eHarmony ad and Manti Te'o Catfish trailer. Now I kind of want to watch those. But yeah, he's just one of those guys that kind of pops around. So that'll be fun.
Apparently he played Chris Wallace in Bombshell.
I didn't see that one. Is it? Wait, Chris Wallace?
Yes, like the Chris Wallace.
I don't think that's true. Or I think that maybe that's just... Wait, did you watch Bombshell?
Yeah.
And he played Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
Not just some guy named Chris Wallace.
No, like the Chris Wallace, the television anchor.
Why?
Because it's about She Who Shall Not Be Named. I dare not say her name in case she appears, but it's about her and her working at Fox News, and he also worked at Fox News.
No,
which guy are we talking about here?
We're not confused about. Wait, hold on. Do you think we're still talking about Mark Evan Jackson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
we're talking about Pillboy, which would be some wild casting. Definitely not like wrong necessarily, but definitely worth explaining to me if they cast him as Chris Wallace.
I would be surprised if that had happened.
Also, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up like I did on the IMDb page. This guy is in a movie or show or something. I think it seems to be a movie about the National Ladies Arm Wrestling Championship.
Okay.
It is called Golden Arm, but it's not that Golden Arm. For a second, I was like, he's in Golden Arm. But it's not that. I know, it's a real bummer. But yeah, he was. Yeah, they were two good place graduates.
I
Great stuff.
I'm gonna have to go back. It's like I was like looking. I'm like, oh yeah, IMDb. And I guess you transitioned at one point. I was like, oh yeah, he was Chris Wallace and Bob.
Well,
we did not transition.
We stuck with him.
We were talking about Pillboy the whole time, DJ.
Although, to be fair, I think the guy from the one you're talking about, Sean from Good Place, he is also one of the UCB kind of mainstay guys who would have showed up on Comedy Bang Bang.
Because he is on Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where he would be, but I'm sure he's been on it as well. So,
I'm looking at his IMDb page. He has been on it.
Okay.
So I am not the victim here.
No,
or rather...
You are the victim, DJ.
I am the victim
culture.
here.
Cancel DJ, everybody. I think that I think Eugene Cordero and Mark Evan Jackson, both great. One of them, I think, fits this movie a little bit better, kind of. Like, one is playing just not like one fits this movie a little better, but I do think Mark Evan Jackson is playing the Mark Evan Jackson character in this. Mm-hmm. And just doing that, and kind of Pillboy's guy is like, he's like a guy, but he's one of the kind of like just plain old some army guy, interchangeable army. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
So his is the one where I'm like, yeah, he could have like maybe, I don't know. Not he could have had a little bit more personality. It's not his fault, but I don't think the movie necessarily utilized him to full potential.
To be clear, no one in this movie has any personality or goals or any kind of character whatsoever.
One of them does. There's one. There are 2 characters in this movie.
Yeah, I think 2 is fair.
Sure.
2 is fair.
Sure. Yeah, I feel.
But they die. So at the end of the movie,
2 is fair, but they should have been the same character.
No. Okay, so we're all over the place on this one.
Okay.
I don't think we have the same 2.
Actually, there's probably 3. I would.
Yeah, DJ and I definitely don't, because one of mine survives.
Okay.
I think I know who you're talking about, and I would add him as my 3rd.
Yeah, I think he's more of a character than anybody except the other guy who does die, who is pretty consistent throughout the movie. But I do think that the other guy that I'm talking about, and this is the kind of podcast, this is what people come for this podcast, just us, like...
Just speaking as vaguely as possible, completely impossible to follow the conversation. Totally...
No spoilers. Just gonna enjoy. Like, I mean, kind of, but like, you're not gonna enjoy the movie more not knowing this. The ones you think are gonna die. The ones you don't think are gonna die don't die.
Which 2 are Nando talking about? Which 3 are Diggins talking about? Does DJ even have 1?
Yeah. Okay. So,
I think I know who Nando is talking about. Can I guess?
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Nando, you are talking about Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Preston Packard
and John C. Reilly.
And Hank Marlowe. Yeah, I think those are the 2 characters. I think Diggins would add John Goodman to that list.
That's correct.
However,
and that was my 2nd.
And I think John Goodman is okay, but I just find him... I think leaving the movie in my head, I was like, those are the two guys I remembered was Sam Jackson, John C. Reilly. John Goodman was in it, but like he really just kind of kicked everything into motion and then didn't really, obviously he dies.
And then his role was taken over by Samuel L. Jackson, and they should have been the same character.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, this movie has way too many characters, considering how many personalities and motivations and stuff it has. I totally agree, kind of. I do think the idea that I don't know what John Goodman was completely after, or like...
Right?
So it could have been what Samuel L. Jackson wanted to do, but I do think like the tunnel vision of Samuel L. Jackson's character had to clash with somebody that could have been John C. Reilly or could have been John Goodman, and I think originally it's John Goodman, and then he dies and we find John C. Reilly, and then John C. Reilly takes over as the like guy that's like, don't kill King Kong on the other side of things. So then you get Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson kind of stuck in the middle. But let's talk about the movie, guys. Yeah. DJ, you first. What did you think of Kong: Skull Island?
I think that Kong: Skull Island, Kong: if you will, is
love to hear
a fine movie the first time you watch it, and then every other time you watch it, it gets so much worse. Like, because I remember seeing this movie in theaters and relatively enjoying it, and I think I've seen it twice since. Like, I think this might have been the third time I watched it in total, and it's just so boring. Like, I think the spectacle of probably action movies, sound, all the music, which we could talk about. I don't want to get full behind that, the music choices, but there's just enough to confuse you and wow the senses where you're like, yeah, this is fine. But then once you take all of that away, there's not much here. This is less of a movie and more of a jumping off point to be like, oh my god, King Kong! And that way we can establish the MCU, the Monarch Cinematic Universe, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's all I think this movie is, and it is kind of unfortunate because you wish it were more of a movie, but hey man, you can't get everything you want, so...
It's so funny how outside of the word monarch, the cinematic universe just doesn't exist. Like, none of the characters carry over. None of the monsters so far have carried over. Like, there's the Godzilla movies, and then there's this movie. And besides the word monarch, they are completely different. And besides monarch and a couple of people, like pictures we see, and then the trailer we see at the end of the movie.
Yep.
Besides those two things, might as well be a different cinematic universe. Okay, Diggins, what about you? What did you think of Kong: Skull Island?
I think this movie is okay. I think a lot of the action and such is pretty competently made. The visuals are fairly striking, which is good. And I can understand, if you just kind of sit back and let that wash over you, I think it's totally fine. I think you're totally right about the characters. There's two personalities between them.
Yeah. It's a shame.
And they just really don't do much of anything with any of the characters or like themes or ideas in the movie. But I don't know. On a surface level monster movie, watch Kong punch a giant lizard. It's okay. So I find it inoffensive.
Nice. Because I actually really like this movie. I think I was very unfair to it before.
The Nando 180. Nando has been talking about how much he hates this movie for weeks. I know.
Well, I think all of my problems with it still stand. I think it is, like I said, I think it is the best shot at one of these where I'm like with Godzilla, I think they more or less succeeded at their goal of like just making Godzilla big and cool. And like the 2014 one. And then like King of Monsters is a disaster. But with this one, I'm like, they got the Godzilla part right, but they spent so much time with all these guys that if one of them was interesting, if one of them was like a like compelling character, and by one of them, I mean one of like maybe the main three, which I think would have to be like, I guess I wouldn't even say Sam Jackson. I would say my big three are John Goodman, like Loki and Captain Marvel. If any of those were really good, I would I think this movie would be a home run. I think what I got out of it the second time, not the second time, because I've seen it a couple times, but like this most recent watch is it's so stupid. It's so silly and self-serious and like, it's kind of almost over the top in like a really fun way. It just isn't. So I think it has problems in terms of Tom Hiddleston's character has nothing to do. I also think Tom Hiddleston is kind of miscast here. And I wish we had like a Gerard Butler or, and I say this every week, but a Nicolas Cage to do the stuff that he does, because then it would be amazing. Like the shit where he fucking gets the machete and or like the samurai sword. The shit where he calls for the samurai sword, gets it tossed to him, and then does a 300 scene in green smoke. Like, that would be so memorable if Loki had anything to do in this movie. So I think all my criticisms of the movie are valid. I think the thing that I forgot was how schlocky it is, and how kind of into itself it is, and how much it kind of feels like it's making a point. Like, it's really like, we got something to say, you know? People are going to see this and go, wow, maybe I wasn't right about the Vietnam War. And it doesn't, I don't think it succeeds at that, but I do think it's very fun to watch for that reason, in the same way that it's fun to watch, like a Fast and Furious movie, honestly, but like the one, like Fast 6, where they were still kind of taking it seriously. I think there's a lot of problems with this movie otherwise, visually, but also a lot of the visuals work well enough that I had fun with it. I really did. I think it's my favorite of all of these movies, but also I didn't really like I didn't like Godzilla 2014 that much, but I think after watching it, I think it's better than the other King Kong movie. So, you know.
I have a theory. And this is Diggins. I have a theory. Mm-hmm. I think that Nando is a master of the zig or the zag, whichever. He sees a zig and he's like, I got a zag. And to be fair, it does make the podcast more interesting. But I think you've become a master of the zag, Nando. And to your credit, you're very good at it.
I mean, to be fair, this is one of the other problems with the me always being the one that has the the last word on these, because I don't do the guessing game thing if I didn't go last. But I think everything I'm going to say and have said is consistent with everything I've said I don't like about this movie. I think what I didn't catch until now is how much, if you take it as like a schlocky action movie, it's kind of works. And I think the person I was watching it with, something happened pretty early in the movie. I don't remember what it was, but they like laughed and giggled, and I was like, oh yeah, this is really funny. And that makes it pretty entertaining when you know it's kind of trying to be about Vietnam War, but like when you also know it's not that interesting or good, like it's not going to say anything besides just that the Vietnam War wasn't great. Like when you get to that point and you start watching just like Samuel L. Jackson's performance, where there's got to be a full minute of just close-ups of Sam Jackson's face as he like scowls, like it's just stuff like that is so fun the second or third time when you know it's not going anywhere, in terms of like doing anything particularly interesting. Because when you see it this first time, if you're like, wow, if you're told like, whoa, this is going to be, it's not just a monster movie, it's about Vietnam, and you're like, it's not, and you know, kind of disappointed. But then knowing that, you can have a lot of fun with it.
You know what I find tough with that is that I agree that some of the stuff comes off as schlocky, but I don't know if those beats are intentional.
Oh, I don't think they are at all. But I think I still enjoyed it more. Yeah, I think the movie plays it completely straight, except for John C. Reilly. Sometimes everything is meant to be serious, or like there's like the seriousness, but it's not trying to like take a swing at movies about Vietnam. I think it's taking that imagery mostly genuinely and trying to repurpose it as a framing device for a monster movie. But I think it's still pretty funny because of how heavy-handed it is, and I quite enjoyed that. But we'll get into it. I don't know. This movie, it's weird because it, like, I don't know. It's fine. It takes a while for them to get to the island. Once they get to the island, it's pretty good. There's a lot of bullshit before that.
I actually think it was a fine amount of time to get to the island. Like, it wasn't, when we did Peter Jackson's King Kong, where just everything felt so out of place. But it's 2 hours, felt like 2 hours well spent. I actually think the movie's paced fairly well.
Yeah.
There's a little, the problem is that until we're only down to two separate groups and then they meet up, you kind of lose track of what's going on. Like when Chapman's by himself, you're like, oh yeah, that guy's still alive.
Yeah.
So there's parts where you kind of lose the thread, but I think for the most part, it does the pacing well, and I actually kind of like those little preambles where they have to go to the senator, and the senator's like, still chasing ghosts. Like, I like that stuff.
How about the bar scene?
The bar scene, that was, like, over for me. I like stuff that's more, like, cheeky. And the bar was example. It was like, oh, my God, Tom Hiddleston's a badass. And you're like, I guess.
Yeah.
But, like the other stuff, give me more Monarch bureaucracy. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no problems.
I think if this movie really leaned into Monarch, it would be a little fun. In the beginning, I think, for sure. I think the problem is there's all this setup and payoff for characters where it's like, I don't give a shit. Set up Godzilla or King Kong. Like, do that. I'm not here to watch Loki. Brood.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like you guys really want to watch Shin Godzilla. That's all I'm saying.
I think I would know, and I just haven't had the time, but it's on my list. Like, I'm probably going to watch it. I think I'll try to watch it before I watch King Kong vs. Godzilla. But I mean, I just really would rather watch. I think Loki is. Do you guys agree? I think he's miscast in this.
I think it's fine. I don't think that there would be an actor who would add so much more to this role. I feel like the role was underwritten, and I don't think that Tom Hiddleston is, something about him intrinsically makes him a bad choice for this character. We need someone who's British to look good in a tight shirt. Yeah, that's about it.
Looks great in a tight shirt.
If I had to pick between my Kong leading men, I would pick Tom Hiddleston over Adrian Brody.
Oh yeah, no, I think they constantly miscast Kong leading men because they need someone who is threatening but not masculine enough to be more masculine than the big giant CGI gorilla. So it's like in the weird Kong love triangle, there has to be like a more kind of sweetheart guy who, and not like that's what Tom Hiddleston necessarily is in this movie, but that's kind of what it's doing. Or what, like, kind of what he's usually cast as.
Would you rather take Tom Hiddleston or Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Neither. I don't think either of them are well cast. But I think, like...
Fuck, marry, kill. Kill both.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would take, like, honestly... This is a tough one. I think I could...
I would marry Tom Hiddleston, fuck Adrian Brody, kill Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Swip Brody and Johnson for me in that. But I'm with you.
I think I want to marry Johnson. I think he's probably cool. He seems cool, Like, he seems like a pretty decent dude. I'm killing Brody. Who's the other one? Loki? Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Fuck Loki, marry Aaron Taylor Johnson, kill Adrian Brody. But, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, so I think now we've got that out of the way. I think, okay, well, one more. Samuel L. Jackson, John Goodman, John C. Reilly. And not just in this movie, but in general.
I
know.
I'm killing John Goodman. I'm fucking Sam Jackson. I'm marrying John C. Reilly.
Yeah, I think you got a couple of those, not like backwards. I definitely would... I'm marrying John C. Reilly for sure.
You're marrying John C. Reilly, no question.
I'm marrying John Goodman.
What? Who are you killing?
I like John Goodman a lot. No, I have a hard time with that.
I'm fucking Samuel L. Jackson and killing John C. Reilly.
You're a monster.
No, I think I'm killing...
I don't want to kill John C. Reilly, but these are the choices you've offered me.
I think I'm killing Sam Jackson, fucking John C. Reilly.
You mean John Goodman?
He's a... No. Oh, well, I kind of changed my mind. I think marry John Goodman, fuck John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly is a comedian. He's like a funny guy. He's a clown. I've like listened to interviews with him. He went to clown college. He's from a family of clowns.
That's fun.
So, he's probably got a couple tricks up his sleeve. It'd probably be a fun night.
Literally.
He'd try hard. It'd be fun. But yeah, I think John Goodman's the one you want to go home to. He's Roseanne, and he's Pop's Racer from Speed Racer. There's no way I'm killing him. And honestly, as much as I like Sam Jackson, what good is he going to be in either of these scenarios?
You killed Nick Fury. That's all I'm saying. You killed Nick Fury.
They killed Nick Fury when they had the cat scratch his eye. I think that he's been dead to me for years. Where were we going with this? Oh, right. I could see Tom Hiddleston working more as a Jason Momoa type. Like, that's the kind of schlocky action man I want from him. And then I could see, like... Or I could see him working as, like, a Paul Rudd or something just weird. Like, it feels like Loki is trying to pretend to be Jason Momoa. And that's the problem, I think. I just don't think he's able to clear that gap.
Well, I don't think that this character is defined. And again, I don't blame him because none of these characters are defined, save for the 2 or 3 we mentioned. But, pretty much, whole hog, it's these characters really don't, there's nothing to them. They're somehow less than one-dimensional.
Yeah.
They are barely paper.
They're one-dimensional and they're also similar. That it's like,
yes,
not just one-dimensional, like you could switch their lines and it wouldn't matter. Most of them, almost all of them. Really, it's just, Sam Jackson has to say the Sam Jackson thing, and either John C. Reilly or John Goodman has to say a different thing than that, and then that kind of gets you where you need to go. And John C. Reilly and John Goodman are both exposition machines anyway. Mm-hmm. So one of them takes over for the other one, reading like the Wikipedia summary of Kong Skull Island, but like they're just that actor kind of doing a character that isn't necessarily, anything that compelling.
Well, what kills me is like these characters, they like bring up like certain things that are just said but with no follow-up, or like, oh, that was a cool line for cool line's sake. Like there's two that really stick out to me, right? So there's one where when, I forget who Brie Larson's talking to, but she's like, hey, when 3 of your sources say the exact same thing, you know they're all lying. And it's like, well, wait, no, tell me what you mean by that. I'm confused.
Well, she was talking to Tom Hiddleston, I believe, on the way to the boat. And he was why would you be on this boat? No?
No, that's when she's on the phone with whoever she was talking to, telling her she got the Landsat job.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. That is what there was this. Yeah. What's the other one, DJ?
The other one that like killed me was when John Goodman's just like, have you ever heard of the so and so sub attack? And Packard's like, no. And he's like, that's right, no one in the public did. I was the only survivor. And it's like, well, no, wait, you need to sit down, and if you're gonna like give reasoning and exposition dump, you can't say vague lines to be cool and ominous and brooding and then never follow up. It's bad.
I mean, like, so how many characters, how many people survive the crash onto the island? There's so many of them.
And by the way, a very Suicide Squad with helicopters that can just topple over and crash, and the occupants be totally fine.
Yeah, I don't think... Is there a character that's killed in the helicopter crash that we don't expect to be killed in the helicopter crash?
Oh.
Like, no character that we've seen speak.
No.
I don't think so.
No, you are correct.
Yeah, so, like, there are, like, 15 characters that land on the island or something crazy like that. That's way too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I guess. So 13 characters, and maybe more, but those are the ones that I'm just looking at on the IMDb page, not counting John C. Reilly, who's already on the island. And yeah, like, that's way too many. You could do the same movie in 7 characters if they all land together, and it's way better, I think. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What did we like about this movie? Let's say nice things. What do we think was good about it?
Nice things.
What do we think of King Kong? Well. Did we think King Kong looked cool?
Yeah, I thought Kong looked cool.
Better than the last one? What?
Oh, much better. But they had just time, right?
I don't know. I think the other one looked a little more gorilla-y.
Yes, that was a deliberate design choice. In previous Kongs, and in this one, they go with a more bipedal human-like look for Kong.
Yeah.
In the 2005 Kong, they deliberately wanted to make him more of a gorilla.
I appreciate that about that movie, and I think that even though it's not the original, I think that's what I prefer from a King Kong. Mostly because I really did like that one fight where he was doing different things with his feet, and I don't think we ever got a King Kong. We got some bits where the fighting was kind of unique, but I never felt super surprised by things. Honestly, I think Kong's like the least interesting thing on the island compared to all the other weird Primal Eden guys.
I think there's one. There's one or two I think is less interesting.
Which ones?
Either big buffalo?
Yes,
like
that's one of them. That's one of them.
The buffalo is cool.
And the other one is like the fake insect who looks like a big ass log.
Love the log insect. What are you it's so great. It looks like a log. What does it want? Is it sitting and pretending to be a log so that someone sits on it? Is that its trap?
Yeah, right. Or is it just like to hide from predators? Like,
right.
hoping the predator won't fuck with the log? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem practical.
When he sits on it, is the log like, oh shit, it found me? Or is it like, yay, dinner? I don't know.
So this is DJ's call-out post for stick bugs. He thinks stick bugs are stupid, and if you think stick insects are cool, then you're an idiot.
That's accurate. I do think all of those things.
Well, this movie also had a pretty effective stick bug, kind of. That is more stick than bug.
What, the daddy long legs?
Yeah, the bamboo spider thing.
That was a good shot when it's just like inside the guy's mouth.
Oh
mouth.
My God, yeah.
I gotta say, that guy died like how a turkey dies in the rainstorm. Just like staring up, mouth open, boom. Like, that's not what you do in that situation, son. You fucking run, you duck and cover. Well, just like mouth open, mouth agape, staring up. What are you doing?
He wanted to let it have like a nice shot. This, like I said, this movie is all about posing. It's mostly, a vehicle for all the characters to pose next to cool things. So he understood that. He thought about it on his way. He's like, what's the coolest way I can die? I guess it's this.
Who was your guys' favorite, speaking of things we liked, who is your favorite character that wasn't Tom Tommy Hiddleston, Brie Larson, or Sam Jack or Johnny Goods? So outside of those four,
John C.
favorite
Reilly,
characters.
obviously.
So it's John C. Reilly then, right?
All right, no, take him out. Take him out.
Okay.
Take him out. Sorry, yeah.
For me, it's the four actors that have identical parts. You know what? No, that's not true. As much as I like Corey Hawkins, Jason Mitchell, Eugene Cordero, and who's the other one? Where is he? Thomas Mann. I thought Shea Wiggum was fun. The guy who just hates everything, but also is nice and quiet and like does what he's told.
He's the best.
I like him in everything I think I've seen him in, including Agent Carter, which is very good in.
And Fast and Furious. He's good FBI guy in Fast and Furious.
That's right. He knows about Braga.
Oh my God.
Oh no, is this where he found out? This is their ancestors having a big fight on an island.
This movie has just groups of people from different, like, established universes.
They just went around the back lot and was like, anybody free to be in one scene? We'll figure out the rest later. This movie's as green screen has ever been. So you guys just have to argue with each other for 5 minutes. You can wear whatever you're already wearing. It's fine.
Yeah, is it tight?
You say that, but it was
slightly
filmed,
army.
It was filmed on location in Hawaii and Vietnam.
Some of it was. There was some stuff that look real fake, and I'm not saying that that's bad, but it was. I caught that as well. I was like, oh, that looks like real jungle. They're probably in a real jungle. And then there were other shots where it looked like they were standing in front of like a video game background.
Mostly the boneyard. That was like the most egregious one. The
boneyard and a lot of the bits that took place at dusk where the sky was orange and blue. Whenever everything was orange and blue, that was CGI to me. And it was there was a lot of it, but it was very like oversaturated and like it was a lot. And I don't mind it, but I do think it waffled between like that looked real and then that looked fake.
Yeah.
And it was, you know what, there also was a lot of weird deep focus shots, like really, or not deep focus, like shallow focus, I guess is what it is. But like John C. Reilly is in focus, and then behind him is just like blur, the blurriest of blur. Not like a background that's not in focus, like green splotches, which I think is usually, and Marvel gets some shit for this, how you kind of hide the fact that everyone's in front of a green screen. But I didn't mind it. I mean, I like the visuals in this movie. That was another thing that I think coming out of it this time, I was like, they were pretty good. And they were all very intentional. And like, there was a lot of editing. They edited a lot of stuff, which was fun. That kind of Edgar Wright, like, guy turns on, record player, helicopter blade starts up, and like really quick cutting. So that was effective. I don't know. Who was your favorite, Diggins? Was it also Sheridan?
Yeah, I think he had some good lines, I think, especially right after the Kong attack when he's just really calm about it. I thought that was actually...
He's eating his beans. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, eating's for the living. Like, that's great.
The story about the lion and the thing, that was fun.
Or how the farmer that he ran upon, like, that was so good.
And his moment is my favorite moment of the movie. It always gets me.
What's that?
When he fucking eats it. It's so funny. When he does his heroic sacrifice and then gets thrown into the mountain. It's so good.
It's such a comedic beat, but there's no way it's supposed to be.
No, not at all. And
that's what kills me.
Well, if it was, the music would drop out because it's really missing just one small thing where it's like da 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 da, and then like we zoom in on the lizard, no music, and then bam, and then but it doesn't. It thinks that is so cool of him to die all that way.
Ugh. Not to nitpick, by the way, but his mouth was open. Just throw them into the mouth. That's what you were going for. It was screaming at you. Just chuck them.
And he had his beans. He's done for the day. He's cool with dying in this horrible Kong disaster. I don't know. Who is your favorite, Diggins?
I said. I agree.
He said.
With you guys.
You did say him.
We just all are so smart, high-minded people. We're like, yeah, this is the best guy.
What about that senator who's like, no Godzilla and King Kong for you? He was fun. The guy that's the dad from Step Brothers. He went with John C. Reilly to the movie. They're all in it together. This is some big, there's a lot of actors. Once you put enough actors in a room, they're all going to have been in something together. But it's even a little much in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like they're wait, are we still saying nice things about the movie, or am I allowed to be mean again?
Let's say nice things. You know what
okay, here, I got a nice thing.
Okay.
Here's a nice thing that's also a mean thing, because I'm just too petty.
Oh my God.
I thought the music choices for the first 2 songs were fine, and then I thought it was a bit much.
I loved it. I leaned into it like Suicide
All
Squad.
of it,
I thought it was so funny. Yes, I ate it up.
There was a point where I'm like, please stop. I get what you're trying to do. Someone just looked at their iPod and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to put this all into a movie. I was around during the 70s.
It's like they just took Apocalypse Now and all those movies and just copied their soundtracks, which is the part that I thought was so funny. Is it's just almost like a parody, like when you make a parody of a movie or a parody of a thing, and before you put in the joke, you just completely recreate everything else about it the same way. And you have all the other lines and everybody's standing in the same place, and then the joke happens. So I enjoyed the fact that the joke in this movie was giant gorilla, and all the rest of it was just exactly what you would expect from Apocalypse Now or any other. They might have well all been in the movie that Tropic Thunder is making, that one,
right?
Yeah, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Everything was just done for me 25% too much. I needed to dial back, I think, and because what are you trying to do, movie? Are you trying to be war movie? Are you trying to set up the MCU? What are you doing? But I digress. I will save my mean comments for when I'm allowed to say such slanderous things.
And maybe we'll never get to it. Diggins, let's say a nice thing about what you
say
like
a nice
about
thing,
this
Diggins.
movie.
Do it, but you can't.
Impossible.
I really liked the. I liked. We've already complimented its visuals a lot. I do think just the kind of stark colorization of it. I know you said it looked fake, but those oranges and blues, the bright red around Kong when all the fire's going on around him. It's just, I think it was very good at creating kind of a bold palette and being very colorful and fun, which is nice because, a lot of these other big blockbusters tend to be very gray or muted, not that colorful. That's another big criticism of the MCU, that its color palette tends to be very muted.
And the DC ones, they're always, everything's gray.
Oh, yeah, well,
that has just become a general staple of action movies. And I think, the fast movies usually manage to get away with this a little better because one of their main objectives is make the red car look as red as possible. So it usually means they do get a good amount of lighting and blacks and stuff like that. It's a beefy image, whereas Marvel does tone that down a lot.
Yeah,
I have a nice thing to say.
So I just appreciate that about it, about how it uses its vibrant jungle setting to make it all very colorful and visually interesting. That's it. I'm done.
No more takes. You got other things,
right? I thought we were going one at a time here. I didn't know I had to do more than one thing.
No, that's fair. All right, here's my thing. I like the fact that what did I like about this movie? I like
absolutely nothing. It's trash. No.
I like everything that John C. Reilly did. I like that the movie, at the end of the movie, knew that he was the only character we really gave a shit about. So he was the only character we followed home. That was great. I do think I don't think it's a particularly ingenious script. I think not I think the problem, but I think one of the things of it is if you have an actor like a John C. Reilly in a role like that, they can really make it their own. And I don't think Tom Hiddleston doesn't have that, but I don't think he's that kind of character actor where he, turns a role up to 11. Like, it felt like Sam Jackson, John C. Reilly, and John Goodman were doing their best version of a John C. Reilly, Sam Jackson, or John Goodman type. Whereas it felt like Tom Hiddleston was doing, an Indiana Jones type or something. So, like, when those guys were working at full, those three we mentioned were dialed up to 11, they were really fun. I liked most of the backstory that John C. Reilly's guy had, where he was, like, friends with the other dude who shot at him.
The Japanese
fighter pilot. Yeah, that was great.
I find it really funny that their first reaction after both crash landing on a deserted island, no idea if ever they will be found by anyone else, is, well, I mean, he's still Japanese. I gotta shoot him.
Love it. I love
right.
But then a big monkey shows up, and they're like, "Oh man, there's a big monkey. Never mind."
Well, I do think this movie almost had some fun stuff to say about war in that juxtaposition, like what his character did, which is why it's the most interesting one in the movie. I do remember that one line that he has when he's kind of checking up with, like, when he first meets our heroes halfway through the movie, and he asks, like, "So, did we win the war?" And they're like, "Which one?" And he's like, "That makes sense."
Yeah,
that was a great line.
I did enjoy that.
There were quite a few things he said that were really fun, and just like he felt like a Robin Williams or something like that, where there was a scene where everyone just fixes the boats, or like that one boat, and he was like, "Hey, how about I say something about the baseball team where my guy's from?" And the director was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? That'll be fun." And then they let him do that, and then it was good. I don't think that is exactly that, but I do think he was able to bring a lot to that performance, and I think the direction of the movie was fun. It was very heavy-handed, but I did more or less enjoy it. Where it was like, Kong, like the 3 helicopters flying over, and then King Kong gets up, and it's like Apocalypse Now or all that shit. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think the direction is, it's not particularly subtle, but it's good for like fun action movie.
Yeah, I think, what am I saying? The guy that this movie kind of usually would be, your Tom Hiddleston would be The Rock in any other version of this movie. He must have just been busy that day.
Oh, sure.
Because, like, this is what he's been doing for a while now.
You're only saying that because this movie's in a jungle.
And because it's got a sexless love romance thing going on. Like, he gets really to do that with Brie Larson, and he is in a jungle, you're right. Wow. He wears the shirt really tight. It's the same thing. He must have been busy that day.
Yeah.
The day that went around to the Hollywood backlot, and we're like, everybody. Yeah, pretty much. And I'll agree with you, too. I think, I do think it was, a lot of it was kind of heavy-handed, not heavy-handed, but, the visuals were, some of them were a little over the top, but not, obvious, but just all right, just green? We're going with green smoke? Okay. But I did enjoy the visuals of those, and once I got over that thought of, this looks weird, I when I was able to enjoy when, the Skullcrawler got shot with the flare gun and it just made a big puff of red smoke like he's a magician. It was just yeah, that's fun. That looks fun. That looks more fun than brown smoke or even brownish, gold smoke. It was just a really bright color. I don't know. Say another nice thing, DJ. I know you got one in you.
I do. I thought this movie handled the indigenous people of Skull Island with less racism than the Peter Jackson one.
Yeah. I would agree with that statement.
I agree. I think the racism, eventually they're going to have to figure out what to do with that racism and take it in the other direction.
Eventually they're going to have to do a version with no racism. That would be ideal. But less is the right direction.
I think more in terms of acknowledge the fact that these characters are look at these silly natives. I think you could do, we had enough bad guys in this movie, mostly Sam Jackson, who was just irredeemable, that there was a point in the movie where we had a couple of directions we could go in where it was okay, is Kong a metaphor for global warming? Is he a metaphor for Vietnam? Is he a metaphor for and almost with Godzilla where sometimes he's a metaphor for nuclear apocalypses and sometimes he's kind of a global warming metaphor. Where I could see a movie
in this movie, Kong is a metaphor for the Vietnamese people, who are the only thing standing between us and the big lizards that are going to kill us.
And I think there's a version of this movie where the because John C. Reilly has that relationship that is not as bad as the one from Peter Jackson's King Kong, but it's very much like, thank you, noble tribesmen, and I will, you've got great customs and whatever. But
they're very othered. They're very treated as like mysterious and strange and that, but they're not like orcs like in the Peter Jackson one. So it is an improvement.
So I guess there's a version of this movie in my head that's the third level of this, where the characters in this movie exist like they do in Kong Skull Island, but are treated like they're treated in Peter Jackson's King Kong as part of some larger point about like, these people, they see regular natives and they have to shoot them because that's just what they do, like kind of a Pocahontas kind of thing, or like Avatar, because that's a Pocahontas kind of thing. But yeah, they had, and you know what, the visuals there were cool. I assume they're taken from some culture, kind of,
I don't know enough
the face
to say.
Paint and stuff. It seemed intentional enough that it had to have been from something.
Ceremonial tattoos is a very Pacific Islander kind of thing. So maybe
there you go.
Like somewhat inspired from that.
Yeah. I also like their room of exposition where they had all those little pictures, but you didn't notice them until you were looking from the right angle.
Yeah.
That was handy.
That's it's like in The Incredibles.
Yes.
The Kronos.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, I think there was.
They watched Incredibles. They're like, oh, what a great idea.
Island, fucking lasers and sticks, and like not sticks, but like stones standing up, and then we draw the bad guy on it.
Sticks and stones.
There was that one bit where where John C. Reilly's explaining everything to his friends, and he's like his new friends, and they ask about the Japanese fighter pilot friend of his, and he's like, did you kill him, or did Kong kill him? And John C. Reilly goes, no, he did. And then he points behind him, and it's eventually going to be a statue or one of these pictures. But I was like, oh, is it like one of these guys in this room that just killed him?
Right.
One of these guys. And it's like, yeah, he killed him, but we kind of got over that. But yeah, I don't know. He was fine. Wait, but no. Oh, sorry. The guys were good. The natives were better than in King Kong 1. I like their cool little bridge. Not bridge, I guess. The wall that had a little spot for boats. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was nice. What about you, Diggins? What is a nice thing you could say about this movie?
I mean, I've already said I like the colors. I like the direction.
There's nothing more to say. That's what you've said. That's really all there is to it.
I mean, I'm trying to just think of things we haven't already talked about, because you talked about the John C. Reilly of it, which is good.
Yeah, that is good.
I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is also doing... There's not a ton to that character, but there's enough for him to like really kind of make it his own. And he's like, I don't know. Are there one too many dramatic stare downs between Samuel L. Jackson and Kong?
Not
maybe
enough.
But they're really good. Is the thing.
Many.
They're terrific. His face. I think I can't see very many actors where I would enjoy that as much as with Samuel L. Jackson doing it. Like, there's other guys like your Stephen Langs, for instance, speaking of Avatar, who can be like, the Colonel Kurtz, just general who's lost it in Vietnam, but in this like thing, and he's decided to kill King Kong. But there's something about Samuel L. Jackson doing it where I just am also scared of him. He's just like a really intense dude. It's fun. And sometimes he's nice and sometimes he's not. I love his speech in the helicopters is great. The one we were talking about before. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Me and the person I was watching was just like, what the fuck is he getting at here? Where he's just like talking to
Right.
them about that time the gods died from flying, and then he gets to the part with the steel, and then they all survived. So I'm like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. He's pretty cool.
I mean, I think that it's crazy that they survived going into the cloud lightning storm.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Not one of them just done.
That Pennsylvania steel. What could stop
Pennsylvania
that?
Steel.
Well, it would have been a much more
wax.
boring movie if Samuel L. Jackson was obsessed with revenge on the storm clouds instead of Kong.
And he would have been, too. He probably would have decided to get all the bombs and shoot the clouds. He's just that weird of a guy. And he loves war. It's his favorite. Yeah, I thought he was good. I agree. I liked him a lot at like being a real, like, hamming it up.
Isn't it crazy he said, hold on to your butts?
Oh, I loved it. But he got cut off before you said motherfucker, even though John C. Reilly got a fuck earlier.
Well, isn't it a PG-13 movie? That's probably their one fuck.
Why doesn't Samuel L. Jackson get it? Why can't he say motherfucker before he gets killed, and then John C. Reilly's the one who gets cut off by censorship? It felt very like, I don't know, just like, I had that thought too. I was like, oh yeah, I guess you can't say it more than once. And I'm like, who is it that, whose agent thought they could get one over on Samuel L. Jackson and then could? Like, it was like they got the fuck in the negotiations, and Sam thought he had it, but then it turned out John C. Reilly stole it from him. I don't know, but he was great.
And that ended the friendship between Samuel L. Jackson and John C. Reilly.
That's right.
They never spoke again.
They could. John C. Reilly, Sam Jackson, both in space in the MCU. Who knows? Maybe they're going to meet up in the next one. All right, let's take a nice thing. King Kong fighting was cool. I think... You know what was fun about it? I liked the design of the Skullcrawler enough. I didn't think it was like anything incredibly groundbreaking in terms of like, I mean, how, you know, it's not like the 30s where there's not been lots of CGI creatures ever created before. Like in a post-Pacific Rim world, it's tough to come up with new ideas. But I do think the movie really went for King Kong fighting this thing being like... in an imaginative way. The thing with the tree was amazing. And not that it was that amazing, but just the direction knew that moment where he ripped all the extra branches off the tree and decided that it was a bat was awesome. And then the movie also knew that all the shit that King Kong was doing with the anchor or the motor, what's that called?
The boat. Right with the anchor?
It's a propeller. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
But all the shit that it was doing with that was awesome. So... that big fight at the end was very good. Yeah. All the King Kong fights are pretty good. The scene, I mean, and speaking of visuals, the stuff in the helicopters was awesome. Where, like, the helicopter was going down because King Kong was hitting it, and we had, like, a long shot of just the guy in the helicopter almost falling out. That was pretty cool.
Do you think there was, like, one too many helicopter crashes?
Not enough. Again, that's the thing. In the first version of the first time I saw this movie, I probably would have thought that. But then the second time, I'm like, keep crashing them. You just crashed all the helicopters. They had so many helicopters.
Oh my god, there's an insane amount of helicopter crashes. It's pretty crazy.
There were like 4 on the deck of the ship, and then there's like a fleet of 10 helicopters traveling through the storm.
Yeah,
good for
and they
them.
all of them go down because they have to. You can't have one helicopter remaining.
No,
you have to dust every helicopter.
I thought that was cute. Yeah, I liked it. I really, I don't know. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was gonna. But DJ, since you hated it, because you can't enjoy fun. You have so many mean things to say. So let's say something not nice about this movie. What did you not love about it?
I feel like I've just been saying what I don't like as we say the nice things.
Yeah, you get a real negging this movie. Backhanded compliments from DJ. Yeah,
DJ's trying to hook up with this movie at the back of the party. You know?
Yeah,
just constantly telling it. Just hitting it up at a bar, giving it all these backhanded compliments, trying to get its confidence low enough that it'll go home with him.
I'm sure we can find a picture of DJ in a fedora that will with someone could Photoshop with him talking to King Kong, and then just like, yeah, that could exist.
These are the strategies I've learned from the incel community that I just have to, use and take into the world. So
it's fair. And speaking of King Kong, I loved how much they called him King Kong without calling him King Kong. Mm-hmm. How many times it was like, Kong is king on the island. Here's the king. Kong, it's you. Like, they just, it was pretty adorable. But it wasn't even King Kong Skull Island. It was just Kong Skull Island. So there you go.
I appreciate how much all the characters, including Samuel L. Jackson, just immediately accept calling him Kong as soon as they hear it from John C. Reilly.
Well, yeah. And I think you go like, that is, I guess, Kong. Sure. And then you get the guys, and you get the moment where John C. Reilly's like, I call them Skullcrawlers. And then you have that almost marvelly, like, actually, that's a stupid name. And then everyone's like, no, it's cool. It's a good name.
No, you're good.
I think Skullcrawlers is a good name. I'm with John C. Reilly on that one.
It does look like what they are.
They got big skulls. You're on Skull Island. How can you know that? But you do. And they crawl around. So, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, say mean things about the movie, DJ.
Oh, no. So I'll say this. It's not like a mean or a good thing. It's just like something I noticed. Like, this movie loves to think it's so cute with some of its fucking lines. So, like, one example, when Brie Larson and Tommy Hiddleston are just staring at the borealis, like, sky, whatever, while there's just no sexual anything going on. Brie Larson's like, it's so beautiful, and Tommy Hiddleston is like, the most beautiful places, or it's like the most dangerous places are always the most beautiful. Or like the most beautiful places are always the most dangerous. Anyway, I'm like, yeah, that's why people go to Hawaii and get killed every year, because it's just so dangerous and beautiful. It's like, come on, man. It's like you're saying things just to say them. But my top for this movie, just trying to drop like badass lines. So when Monarch goes to hire Tom Hiddleston, right? They offer an amount of money, and they go,
yes!
"You're the best."
I know exactly where you're going with this. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I had this same
fine.
thought.
You're the best. We need to hire you. And they're like, well, I'm a tracker. What are you tracking? He's like, we just need someone to get through this island. We don't know what's going on. He's like, all right, it's going to be really dangerous, uncharted island. So he puts down a stack of money. He's like, I want 5 times that. And they're like, all right, we'll pay you. And a bonus if we make it back alive.
Yeah.
So, like, why does T need the money if he's dead? It's like I want you to pay me that because we're going to die.
Yeah.
I want you to pay me 5 times this amount because we're going to die.
It's a bonus if everyone makes it back alive or something like that, but not just if we make it back alive.
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's implied or it's no money if you don't make it back alive. Like, we're not paying your estate.
Fill my coffin with 5 times this amount of money, but you could leave the bonus out because we all died on the mission.
And it's just like these stupid lines the movie has to include because it's so fucking badass that you're just like, come on.
Yeah, that was funny. I had that exact same thought. I don't know, man.
It's just so silly.
He's just the coolest guy, and he knows what sounds cool, and that was what sounded cool in that moment.
Do you think that Tommy Hiddleston got the call because he had to be British because it was like British Special Forces? So there was that was non-negotiable in the script. It's like, we must cast a British person.
I have a feeling Tom Hiddleston and his agent and like the Tom Hiddleston, manager team, all that stuff were like, we need to put this guy in an action movie so he can audition to be James Bond. And this just turned out to be the one. And they had to build everything around the fact that it really does. And I talked about this on Twitter a little bit. Feel like Brie Larson's character is the main character, and it's her job to do all the photography, and everybody else is an army person. And then just, Tom Hiddleston showed up on set and was like, write me into this movie. I'll be I'll be redundant in every form of the word. I won't have anything. I won't have any interesting perspective to bring to the team. I also won't have any knowledge that no one else has. Like, there's going to be one scene where I kneel down and look at some fungus and go, there's water near us. And that's the complete, that's everything I bring to the guys. I don't know. He felt so unnecessary.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a shame, because, that's always the problem with these. They have no characters that make it from movie to movie that you with Marvel. What were you say, Diggins?
I was just going to point out that apparently in development, originally Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston's characters were the big major figures of the movie. The movie was built around them, and then as it went through different phases and writings, more stuff got added, and they got kind of not sidelined per se, but just there was less and less time to actually give them anything to do or explain who they are.
Yeah, there's certain characters that I feel can't have had more than 1 or 2 conversations that probably should have. How many times did Brie Larson talk to Samuel L. Jackson?
A couple.
Yeah, not that many.
I mean, one-on-one or in a group?
One-on-one.
Just the once.
So Samuel L. Jackson had a couple of heart-to-hearts with some of the characters, but you have the war photographer and you have the general who wants to kill everything. At some point, there should be something interesting between them, or just more than there was there. But it felt like it was because, he had to do some expositioning with John Goodman, and then he had to argue with Tom Hiddleston and some of his own guys, and also the guy who's a suit who got eaten by pterodactyls, which was great. But yeah, it was very cluttered. But I think the thing about these movies with Godzilla 1, 2014, Kong Skull Island, and then King of Monsters especially, that I think is what's always held this back is we love Iron Man movies. They're all great. Everyone loves to see him. And part of it is you want to see Iron Man fly around, and he's your Godzilla. But this movie has no Tony Stark. Just no character who can be sitting around and it's fun to watch them talk in between Godzilla. They try so hard by like it's just a failure of casting or characters or something. The only character that's been in more than one of these that I've ever given a shit about was Ken Watanabe, and he's like not the protagonist. He could be, he probably should be, but he's not. And like they've just gone through so many fucking random white guys who have nothing to bring to the table. It's so frustrating because really all you need is one guy who's just charismatic and fun to watch and given a bunch of interesting things to do. I mean, and the other problem with this movie is it takes place in the 70s, and it is a prequel to a movie that hasn't come out yet. Like, because it's a prequel to Kong Skull Island, or Kong vs. Godzilla. It's not a sequel to Godzilla, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, and we have to introduce new characters that can never come back.
Yeah. Yeah, and they tease it so well, right? Because at the end of the movie, or the post-credits scene, we have Brie Larson and Tommy Hiddleston being briefed on Monarch, but why does it matter?
By who? Do you know who they got briefed by, apparently?
Oh, I don't.
According to IMDb, and I'm not positive about this, because I have to listen to it again, but what the hell is his name? Thomas Middleditch, Jerry from Godzilla King of Monsters, has a voice credit in this movie. I think he's supposed to be that guy, which wouldn't make any sense.
No, because because at the end, in the post-credits scene, they're being briefed by the two characters that were in the movie in Monarch.
So where is Jerry's voice then?
I don't know. I don't know who this Jerry is.
Oh, did you not see King of Monsters? Well, you saw King of Monsters.
No, I mean in this movie. I don't know who this Jerry in Kong Skull Island is supposed to be. I saw King of the Monsters.
I mean, it's the same actor, right? He's in that one. So I would assume and since it's a shared universe, that feels very much like where you would put that character, except he's way too young.
I was going to say, but it's like, what, 40 years later? There's no way.
Yeah. It is weird that they didn't take this opportunity to put young Ken Watanabe in here or something like that.
Or have the person who's like the biologist be his mom or something.
Yes. What the fuck was that character doing?
I don't know why she was there. I don't know why the geologist was there. Were they trying to make a love thing between the two of them? I think
thing? A little. I think it's really funny how, not a love triangle, just a love thing.
I mean, that's what I meant. Yeah.
It is really funny how we have all those intro scenes with John Goodman and I don't know the name of the other guy.
Nerd 2.
The other nerd.
Suit 1. I had it open, but I closed it.
You have all these opening scenes of them convincing senators and meeting Tom Hiddleston and everything, and then they get to the ship, and she's just there now. And it's like, oh yeah, she's part of the team. She was here the whole time, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. She's part of the team. They just didn't want to have a third person in those scenes or something. It's so weird.
There's so much about this movie when it comes to the plotting and the characterization where it does feel like, not like reshooting necessarily, but definitely not in the script kind of rewrites as things are going on, going like, oh, this guy should be here, and this guy can be there. Like, it feels weird to me as a movie watcher that we see Billy's dad die before the rest of the team finds out about it. You know what I mean?
Yes. That should have been a reveal that the Skull Walker spits out the skull with the dog tag, and you see Chapman. That should be a reveal.
Yeah, I think that's the only pacing issue in the movie for me, is there's a bit of the movie where all the characters are going to find a character that we know is already dead. And it's like, well, why are we doing this? And we know Packard wants to find the munitions that are with him. But we all, like, I want to scream into the TV, like, no, Tom Hiddleston, he's dead. Don't bother. Go do something else. Do something that's going to further the plot in a positive way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff like that. And then there's also things where just, like, the identical army guys could all just be one guy. Where, like, I don't know, they all just cross-talk with John C. Reilly.
Jerry in Kong Skull Island is the guy who gets a mother-long legs through his mouth.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so it's just a cameo. It's not meant to be anyone related to his character in the next movie, I don't think.
But it's played by Thomas Middleditch. Or he has a credit, but it's not Thomas Middleditch.
Maybe they just dubbed over his voice because the only time he speaks is when he is like, I'm about to be killed by a...
Maybe that character is supposed to be Thomas Middleditch's dad. Maybe that's your... Because there were people apparently when Charles Dance got cast in the second one of these, or the second Godzilla one, King of Monsters, thought that was Loki, all grown up. And
yeah, I remember that theory.
It's weird that they never did that. Not that would make any sense with his character, but there's no young character who is now old in present movies, you know?
Maybe in this new one.
Who would it be, though? You know? I can't see any space. Well, and that's the problem, is none of them matter. Like, if there was one character who came out of Kong Skull Island as, like, the cool guy everyone likes, I think they'd figure out a way to put him into King of Monsters or something like that. But they just
slap a bunch of makeup on John C. Reilly, make him look 80 years old, and have him show up. Real.
Or just, like, do that thing. Yeah, do, like, Hollywood
He's our resident Kongologist. He's the Kong expert. He's the Kong expert in the entire world. We need him.
And he has a son. Just have his son do the shit that they used to do in the comics, where it's like, you're Steve Trevor's grandson, you look just like him, I'm just going to pretend you're him. Like, have John C. Reilly show up in 2010s or 2014 timeline and just be like, I'm his son. I have a different haircut. Everyone on board? Okay, cool. I'm a little bit less crazy than him, but I'm still kind of a wackadoo. Because, yeah, he's the best character these movies have created, which is insane because I forgot all about him. Like,
I thought he had died in this movie. Like, I was watching it, and I was like, I'm going to be sad when John C. Reilly dies. Then we get to the end, and I remembered, oh, he doesn't die. Ugh.
Yeah. And there's that bit where he's like, all I want, man, is just to eat one hot dog. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. This is all the rest of the characters that have died in this movie.
And then later he shows a picture of his wife, like, I got a wife waiting for me back at home. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. and he made it. He's great. The movie knew that he needed to survive. I mean, as far as surviving, besides the fact that none of the characters come back, they all just kind of get to the end and then it's over. Like, surviving the whole island thing is one thing, but it's really just like I don't know, it's weird because the movie, we get his epilogue a little bit, but we don't get any other epilogue.
So what you're saying is, when we get to that shot of the helicopters coming in and they're saved, we should have cut to months later when John C. Reilly is showcasing Kong on the Broadway stage.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, dude,
an hour of 1970s dirty New York Times Square. Like, just like, you know, taxi driver, and just he is the hot toast of town. And, yeah, that would be wonderful. Because it was also interesting. I think it's fun that they did, like, this person I was watching once was like, yeah, it's good that they didn't try to catch King Kong in this. I think that would have made it a little bit more, like, I like that the objective was kill King Kong or leave him be, because the catching King Kong, especially with this one that's like 1 million feet tall, would be a little silly.
Well, and we'll get to see that because they do capture King Kong in the next one. Super curious about that, by the way.
I mean, I think you could do it in 20... Like, I think you could do it if your goal when you went there was to catch him.
To capture King Kong.
Yeah, but I don't think you could do it if you're just like, you know what? We're almost done here, but let's see if we can grab one of them King Kongs, bring it back to New York. Like, because I do think it was funny. There's a point at the middle of the movie where our characters are like, we got to get to the boat. We got to hike up to the North Island. And John C. Reilly's like, you'll never be able to get there in a day. And Tom Hiddleston and friends say, like, well, if we don't get there in a day, they're not going to find us, and they're going to go home. And I'm like, I mean, maybe, but then they'll come back. It'll be a big deal when everyone died that day. So, like, it seems like we're pretty safe in this little zone that you guys created.
Yeah, right?
We don't know that Packard's trying to blow up King Kong, so, you know, that whole plot line, yeah, will just kind of conveniently would have gone poorly if we didn't stop him. But also, like, yeah, I think it's going to be okay, dude. He's lived here for like 30 years, and he's having a ball. He has friends. None of them speak to him. He's gone crazy. I don't know.
But still sane enough to not be like, oh, it turns out that the Orient Express is here to whisk me away. Like, you know.
Yeah, he hasn't gone quite crazy. He just seems to know how fucked everybody is at all times. Like, he's the character. He's like Deadpool, where he has like a little bit more plot awareness than everyone else. So he's our audience surrogate. Like, it's weird because Tom Hiddleston, I guess, or Brie Larson is our audience surrogate, but they don't really work as that. And immediately when he shows up, he says all the things that we've been thinking this whole time. I love when he's like, "You're a good bunch of guys. We're gonna all die. It's gonna be good to die with a bunch of good guys like you." That was just really funny. I like the the interactions he had with the little baseball kid. They were fun.
Yeah.
This movie's good. I like this.
It's not bad.
It is. I liked it a lot. It's just a testament to how much they just need to fucking do one. If there was one character that anybody liked, this movie would be a classic. Like, this would have been such a winner.
A classic.
Yeah, it would, honestly. Like, if they managed to cast a 2014 Chris Pratt in this role, right? Kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, where you gave one actor who everyone liked, but we didn't quite know was the biggest thing yet. If we gave them the time to shine, amazing. You know? Daveed Diggs, we put him in here, and it's just like, whoa, this movie is so much fun. Like, but they just, and I don't think Tom Hiddleston, like, I love Tom Hiddleston, but I don't think he was that in this movie. But I don't think this movie could have supported anybody like that. If anything, they would have had to push through the drudgery of the script to get to being like a charismatic, fun lead.
What if this could have been a breakout role for Sacha Baron Cohen's action career?
Oh my God.
With a late career turn, a la Robert Downey Jr., I'm an action star now.
I think he made that miniseries about being like a spy. I think it was called Spy. It was like Sacha Baron Cohen as a spy.
Wasn't Spy the Melissa McCarthy movie?
It was. And then it was also another show, but I think it was also a miniseries. They just couldn't get over. It was Spy Palooza. But, like, okay, so let's look at 2017 in films. That's the year this came out, right? Some movies from 2017. Get Out. Daniel Kaluuya. That would be interesting, right? That would have been something.
He's British, so it works.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. He could also have been a British person, just like Tommy Hids. Charlize Theron. She could have been in this. She was in Atomic Blonde. I don't know. I mean, Brie Larson's okay. I don't dislike that character.
You're thinking the wrong way, Nando. You replace Tommy Hids with Charlize Theron.
A really strong bisexual or lesbian energy between Brie Larson and Charlize Theron. That would be great.
Or make Brie Larson's character a male. Do a gender swap there.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but make him a very like mousy kind of war reporter who's like, I don't want in anybody's way.
Get who's the kid from Silicon Valley? Get him.
Thomas
Put him in there.
The one who's in the next ones of these. And who's apparently in this one somewhere. Yeah. Throw him in there too. He's like the Stanley of this universe. But no, how about Robert Pattinson? This is when he was coming back. I think he could have turned this into something. No, get fucking Tom Hardy given Venom, like a Venom-style performance. That would be...
Oh, my God, yes! That
would be something. Yeah!
Well, then you got to have him be the reporter, right?
He could be both. Just put those characters in one character, smush them together.
Mush them.
Yeah, there's no reason. There's no reason why there's two of them. I mean, like... There were some movies that year. So you had 3 Billboards Out of Ebbing, Missouri. Sam Rockwell works.
Oh my God, remember that movie?
Blade Runner 2049. Ryan Gosling works. There's just a couple of other ones here that I thought were pretty, had leads that I'm kind of like, oh yeah, he could have been in it. Call Me By Your Name. This could have been Timothée Chalamet. Probably not great.
I would have loved it. I would have.
He's not at that phase of his career yet.
No, yeah, he's not. Logan. So this is the year Logan came out. I could see Hugh Jackman doing this role as like a grizzled, tough war reporter guy. We also had Split. I could see James McAvoy working here. Speaking of Split, we had Split and Trainspotting, so both of those. Also,
and we could have had Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
my gosh, that would have been great.
She's wonderful. I also see here a movie. I don't know if I saw this. It's called Wonder Woman. Effortlessly charismatic Chris Pine, I think, would have been perfect for this. But that's the thing. Like, I don't see why he was British.
He can't be enough. Well, oh no, right? He wasn't a pilot. That was that would be great if you cast him as the pilot, like the John C. Reilly character. He just gets to be a World War I and World War II pirate.
Yeah, I crashed on this island back in 1940 something, and I continued. Fill in the blanks. But yeah, no, I could see him kind of. I don't know. I think there's a couple of actors that would have worked just as well and it's a shame that they didn't. But hey, man, I don't know. Like, what about, you know what I would have liked to see here, too? Speaking of actors that were just kind of coming up, Pedro Pascal could have done it.
Okay.
He's got, I just need an actor who has, an edge to him. And that's what Tom Hiddleston just doesn't have that. He's so pretty. He's got pretty shirt, pretty greasy face, he's too pretty.
Yeah, you're right. The character who famously played Loki, just no edge there. Just smooth as silk.
Well, he's pretty. He's a pretty little Loki.
Knife.
Sometimes he gets kind of greasy hair, and then he gets pretty again, and it's fine. That's his thing, and it's fine. I just want a guy who I'm like, he can solve a problem with his fist. So he can kind of be an action lead in a schlocky action movie.
Maybe he can't do schlock. Well, no one really, again, the schlock is not intentional. I don't know if I give this movie credit for schlock by accidentally bumping into it by having, that guy's death be meaningless at the end.
It's wonderful. I think a lot of the deaths were kind of not I don't think the deaths are schlocky. I think it's the bits where Tom Hiddleston looks out around the sky and says the most beautiful place or the most dangerous. That's your schlock. And that's the stuff that I think an actor who, has that vibe can deliver in a way that is more, I don't know, just to sell it a little bit more. But yeah, what about Adam Driver? Let's get him, pluck him out of those damn Star Wars movies before he knows. I mean, we get him out 2017's Star Wars Episode 8, and then just by the way, don't do the next one. Just do Kong Skull Island instead. You're a huge hit.
I would have lost my shit if Adam Driver
or Keanu Reeves, John Wick. There's just so many actors out there. With an edge, baby. Or Mark Wahlberg. I'm just reading a list of actors now. All of them are great.
Disagree.
He would have been so funny. You kidding me? He would have been oh
my god, look at the size of that ape. It's a huge ape.
Yeah, we're gonna have to catch that Godzilla. It's gonna be a real big deal for me. I'm gonna take this King Kong home and turn it into a really cool science experiment. I got this robot.
You gotta let me fly. King Kong flies. You gotta let me
fly.
Also,
hey, Samuel L. Jackson, you can't have sex with my daughter. She's under the age of consent.
Well, here's what you don't understand. Here, I have a paper. Vietnamese law says that.
Oh, God.
Yeah. For people that don't know, we're making fun of that movie, not Vietnam. I'll never, every so often the internet rediscovers that bit with the Romeo and Juliet clause from Transformers 4, and it's so fun. I think it's a bad movie, and it stinks, and all the Transformers movies after the first one that aren't Bumblebee stink. But I think the fourth one has the most moments that are just so bizarre, and that's one of them. It's a bit where Stanley Tucci makes the Beats pill out of Transformers. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's got its moments. T.J. Miller gets vaporized. That's fun. They knew.
They did know. Holy
with that
shit.
Guy. What'd you say?
They did know. That's crazy.
Yeah, they knew.
Oh, wow.
Anything else about this movie? How about how it ties into future Kong Skull Island, whatever these are called, universe?
Well, by calling him, he's just a baby. How do you know? Yeah. How is that knowledge you have?
Well, he saw the big skeletons.
He seemed like he was about as big as the big
him up?
skeleton.
I couldn't see it. It's not like Kong was 30 feet tall, and you're like, well, they get bigger. Trust me.
Yeah, when we see the Monument Valley, Dead Kong, all that stuff, it's about the same size. I don't think it's that much bigger. I mean, he's going to be way bigger, I assume.
I wouldn't say baby, he's a teenager. I don't know.
They don't call him a baby. They just say he's not done growing.
I thought they said
they call the Skullcrawlers babies.
The first two are baby Skullcrawlers.
Oh, yep.
I do think at one point in the movie, at some point, someone definitely says that there's more Kong. They almost go but I mean, we're gonna do a Kong versus Godzilla one, so don't worry. Don't worry, audience. He'll be as big as Godzilla eventually.
No.
I don't know about baby specifically.
John C. Reilly says that he's not done growing, but he never calls him a baby.
Yeah.
But what a baby! A baby.
I couldn't get over the Batman v Superman-esque movie bit where the character watches trailers for the next movie, and it was just pictures of Godzilla and all the other movie characters that are going to be in the next, like Rodan and King Ghidorah and stuff.
At least that was a post-credit scene. That's what those are supposed to be.
No, that's in the movie, because that you see the cave drawing of Ghidorah, and
that's the post-credit scene, DJ.
No, he means you're talking about in this movie. It is a post-credit scene. Are you saying it's in the next movie?
No, No, I'm saying it's in the core movie Kong Skull Island.
Nope. The only cave paintings we see in the movie are of Kong and the Skullcrawlers.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, because you watched the post-credit scene, right?
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, no, that is
they're
the
like,
post-credits.
tell us. They're not going to tell us, whatever. And then he's like, there are things. And then we see little pictures of all 4 of them. But I guess it's Batman v Superman-y to me, because it's not just like, there's other things out there. It's like, these 4. The 4 from the next one. Here they are. Get ready. Like, it might as well be posters for the next movie. But yeah, it's not as bad because it is a post-credit scene.
I will say, I think what would make a good Kong Skull Island, just, talking about... I'm sorry, wow, brain. What would make a good Godzilla v. Kong is if at some point in the movie, both Kong and Godzilla learn that their mother's names are Martha.
Oh, no, DJ. No, the joke is Mothra. Come on, DJ.
Yeah.
Have you not been on internet? Yeah. It's Mothra.
Is this like a thing? Did I not make up a clever joke?
There's a famous meme that's been going around for, I think years at this point.
Ever since there was a Kong v. Godzilla movie title, they pretty much put this meme together.
It's a scene from the original Godzilla vs. King Kong, subtitled like, "You're not a monster. Oh wait, you're no king. You were never even a monster. Save Mothra. How do you know that name?"
God. Oh God. We're not inside a bit right now, are we? This is
this is real. This is real.
Either this is real or no one has thought of this before, and me and Diggins have come up with a meme that is going to rock the internet. So either way, I'm sure it will. I mean, in a post-Snyder Cut world, there will be no irony left to mine from the Batman v Superman universe. But there is this for now. And I think, like, I want to say that the post-credit scene does kind of... In this universe, right, is Brie Larson the worst investigative journalist ever?
I don't know about that.
She didn't tell us.
Oh, in terms of that, like keeping the secret? Yeah, that's not great.
She shouldn't do that. What's her problem? I'm not saying she has to keep the pictures and, like, circulate them, but I want to meet an older Brie Larson who's just tinfoil hat, like, passing out pamphlets at the site of the Godzilla Memorial. Like, there's so many of them. There's other ones, because she knows. I get Tom Hiddleston's guy just being like, yeah, fuck it, I don't know. I want to survive, but...
I got paid 5 times my asking price, plus a bonus.
Yeah, I got the bonus. And also, they said I got double bonuses, so they're all dead anyway. Well, I guess the nerd isn't dead. The one nerd survived.
Yeah.
But, yeah, John Goodman...
He gets John Goodman's bonus, though.
That's fair.
It's like, yes, I love this bonus.
John Goodman had a cool suitcase that had, like, briefcase that had the monarch symbol on it. That was cool. That's where his bonus money went.
Did you guys find it weird? So John Goodman dies via, like, being eaten while trying to take some flash photography.
Ah, yeah, that was great.
And it kept going off in the thing's stomach as, like, a weird tension thing. But it's like, you know exactly where it is. Like, light that fucker up.
Yeah.
Like, you have such an advantage now. Why are you scared?
Also, if it's skin, muscles, and stomach are, like, so thin on that part of its body that you can still see a camera flash, it'd probably be super susceptible to bullets.
Yeah.
Right? It's like paper mache.
It's a really good camera. And also, yeah, they do set up, like, in that scene, we don't have a great sense earlier in the movie, not earlier in the movie, but, like, whenever the characters are stormed by a, King Kong, but usually, like, some other random-ass animal, they shoot, regular guns at it. But in that scene, they set up a, like, chain gun on top of, a skeleton. And I'm like, yo, they're gonna get this guy.
He says set up the 50.
Yeah.
That 50 caliber out there, baby.
But then the Skullcrawler just goes right for that because it knows. It's seen guns before.
It's so unfazed.
I did love the bit with the samurai sword, though.
I know, that was cool.
Why did Tom Hiddleston...
Hokey, but cool.
Why did Tom Hiddleston go, like, give me the sword? And fucking what's-his-name was like, okay, I'm using
because
it.
Because he knew the only way to save Slivko was with 100% Hanzo steel.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. I mean...
Osaka rolled.
There was some good stuff. There really was. I'm glad we did this one and, like, watched this before because I was unfair to this movie. I really do think, like, any character but Tom Hiddleston. Like, if there was another guy who could be Charles Dance that was in this voyage, it would make so much sense, you know? Like, just some bad guy, some sniveling scientist who wants to end it all, and then, like, 50 years later, he shows up and he's like, I'm going to make a Mecha Ghidorah or whatever. That would all be perfect. It's weird that they didn't do that.
You could have the fun. He starts out as like an idealist, and he's a young scientist who's ready to learn things about the world, and he's like, everyone has to die. This is just not okay.
Right? Yeah, like
his very bad.
His very well-meaning mentor gets killed, and then he kind of goes off the deep end or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what a good movie would have done.
Or like a good cinematic universe. Like if they wanted to have cohesion between these movies besides just big monster go punch, it would be some character that gets radicalized here and is the villain in a future movie. But
I think to that end, it's so clear that this MCU does not have a plan.
No, not at all.
Like they're flying by the seat of their pants. So
I don't see a future post Kong vs. Godzilla either. Like, I don't think there's another one.
Hold on, I got it. I got the plan.
Okay.
To how you put the Charles Dance character in this movie. Okay.
Here, baby.
So, the Charles Dance character is the assistant to John Goodman. John Goodman wants to go and kill all the monsters because he's like, they're going to take over. But the Charles Dance character is like, no, we should learn to coexist with them. You know, we shouldn't be violent and aggressive, whatever. Then they go in the thing. They get the helicopters go down. There's the two groups, but John Goodman is with the hero team, and young Charles Dance is with the Samuel L. Jackson team. So John Goodman goes through this journey, like meeting John C. Reilly and the natives, and like learning that Kong protects them, and being like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe some of the monsters are good. While the young Charles Dance is like being forced, like shanghaied to go along with Samuel L. Jackson when he's like, we got to kill Kong. And he's like, no, don't kill Kong. And Samuel L. Jackson's going crazy doing all this nuts stuff in his mad quest to kill Kong. And that's what makes Charles Dance go like, man, we can't coexist. And if I have to pick, I pick the monsters.
I like that.
I don't remember what Charles Dance, I guess that was his ideology, right? He was like pro-balance. That was his whole thing.
He was like, humans are destroying the planet, and so like we don't deserve it. We should just let the monsters have it. I want King Ghidorah to kill all the humans.
So I like that idea. I think my other idea for introducing a Charles Dance character is like, so Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston get on the boat to get like before, like right as the movie starts. And they're all talking, and they want to kiss because they're both hot, and they get it, and they go down to kiss.
Yeah, baby.
And then
because it's post Spanish flu, and
exactly.
They're two attractive adults, and they're like, well, seeing another attractive adult, I have to bone down right now in this movie theater.
And then Tom Hiddleston's like, what happened to my pen? And then a guy comes out of the shadows and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, I took your pen. And then one of the 50 random similar guys is like, you may be wondering where Charles Dance is from. This child lived in the horrors of all the Kongs that he just wants balance. And he's like, from their island, maybe, who knows? And then he's just some random blank slate. And then in the end, he turns out to be the bad guy. I think that's what we got to do. And then in the future movies, he's twirling a pen evilly, and that's how we know. But, yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird that Tom Hiddleston and Charles Dance's guy cannot be the same character, but they totally should be. Their ages line up. They're both British. They have a similar look. Like, it's really weird. Anything else about this one? About Kong Skull Island?
You've kind of turned me, Nando. It's not as bad as I posited. I still maintain that this is a movie for theaters, and it has a lot of diminishing returns. I think the more you watch it and not having, that theatrical experience. But, yeah.
I think it's fun.
I've softened on it.
I had a good time with it. I had a better time with it than I expected, and than I did with either Godzilla 2014 or King Kong 2000.
I can't agree there. I actually think Godzilla 2014 is a quite enjoyable experience.
I don't not like Godzilla 2014. I think Godzilla 2014 succeeds in a lot of places that this one doesn't. I think the problem is, I think this movie, speaking of balance, manages to balance the whole movie. It feels like the pacing in Kong 2014 is where it loses me, where there's so much, I don't know, just... I feel like this movie felt more like the best version of something, whereas Godzilla, I was just like... Because you say what you will about Tom Hiddleston. He's weird, but he's kind of fun to watch, and he's pretty, and he's lit well. Aaron Taylor Johnson is nothing in the Kong or in the Godzilla 2014 one, even though he is my Mary in the Fuck, Marry, Kill we did earlier. He just didn't get a lot of time to shine. So I think that's where I would rather take over the top silly action than like realistic. But I can see where you'd come up with that.
I'm also bringing a anti-Kong, or actually maybe not anti-Kong, but I prefer Godzilla to Kong like 5-1. I just think Godzilla is so much cooler. Kong gets boring for me real fast.
Really?
Yeah,
I think that fight where he's flinging around that chain is awesome.
I don't know. You know why? I was always like especially as a kid, I was way more of like a dinosaur guy than like a monster guy or a kid, whatever. Like I love dinosaurs. So maybe that's it. I'm just really into dinosaurs. Like so much, like a creepy amount.
Yeah, no, I was the opposite. I was really into monkeys. Whenever I went to the zoo, they were like, "Do you want to go see the dinosaurs?" I was like, "No, the monkeys. That's what I love. I think that monkey cage is cool, and I don't care for dinosaurs." I mean, I don't know. What's the... Like, I agree, dinosaurs are cool. Is there ever... What's the King Kong equivalent? What's that media? Like...
Well, it's like monsters, right?
This King Kong's not like a monster, though. He's like a jungle monster thing. Like a...
If you were really into Disney's Tarzan.
Yeah, right, Tarzan, or like the Mummy or something like that. Because that's what this feels like. Kind of like your more action... adventure, general action adventure kind of thing versus like dinosaur adventure, which I don't know, they're pretty similar. There's a lot of crossover. Also, I just realized that Kong and Viet Cong are the same thing. That's interesting. Never crossed my mind.
No one in the movie really seems to think about it, so whatever.
Yeah, no. You're excused for not making the connection.
It's a real shame. What about you, Diggins? What do you think of this one? Still same opinion?
Yeah, basically. I think it's a fine movie. I don't think it's amazing. It has a lot of problems with its writing and characterization. And I think I agree with DJ. I like Godzilla 2014 more. I think it's more uneven. This movie is kind of like a blandly okay from start to finish. That one has some low lows and some high highs, but overall I prefer its high highs. But yeah, I don't think it's bad by any means. It's a perfectly watchable movie.
It's crazy how, like, we have this kind of... There's this split between the group of, is Godzilla better or is Kong Skull Island better?
Yeah, it's crazy how two of us are sensible human beings in the world with good opinions, and one of us is a crazy man.
Well, what I was going to say is, it's crazy that we have that opinion. None of us are like the other one's better. Nobody thinks Godzilla King of Monsters is better, even though that is 100% setting up everything that's happening in the next one. All the characters that are going to carry over are from that movie. Like, you have to have seen that movie to understand what's going on with Godzilla here, I assume. So, like, the most important, the linchpin of this franchise is everyone's least favorite one. That's not good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's not ideal.
It's this question. I did ask this and kind of lost it, but where do they go after Godzilla v. Kong? Is there
Godzilla v. Kong 2?
Right? Like,
or some shit with Mechagodzilla if we're to believe
he's in the new one. Just gotta be.
Godzilla plus Kong, the rom-com.
Ah, I love it. Yeah. And they just... Yeah, I love... Oh, God. Romeo plus Juliet. What do you think? Like, I really do think we need a big giant guy in a suit like Ultraman. That thing you said the other day.
Jet Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar. Yeah, there you go. I think we need that.
Oh, God.
But I don't know. It does kind of feel like this has to be the last one.
I mean, they are going to want more. I'm not convinced that they're just going to be like, and we've made the appropriate amount of movies, and we're done, and it was nice, and we are done. Like, I just don't... see that as a realistic finale.
It feels difficult to sustain a cinematic universe with only two characters.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And, like...
They got to roll into something else.
Yeah, I mean...
Like this plus Dark Universe.
Pacific Rim. They own Pacific Rim. They could just have them go through a rift.
That's brilliant, actually.
The King Ghidorah, like we talked about this last week, is from space in these movies.
Yes.
Some of them seem to be Titans guarding Earth, blah, blah, blah. We get a lot of that in this movie. You know, we get way more of than I remembered in this movie. Hollow Earth. There's so much fucking Hollow Earth theory.
Gosh, wow, yeah.
In Kong Skull Island. But yeah, so got King Ghidorah's from another planet, maybe more monsters come from another planet. I could see maybe an alien invasion movie where Kong, Godzilla, and some fucking other one have to team up. I don't know, maybe Mothra comes back. But yeah, we do Avengers maybe. Or Justice League. I guess it's Justice League.
It's all we do from now until the end of time. Is that.
It's great. And then the next one is Kong Divisionzilla, and it's Kong and Godzilla living in a house together. And it turns out the TV show they're in is more than it seems. All right. That's it for Kong Skull Island.
Indeed.
We all had fun with it. Do you guys want to get to some classic segment, do some recommendations for the fine people?
Yes.
I would love that.
All right. What do we got to recommend? DJ, I'll start with you.
All right, so this is I hope I'm not retreading a wreck, but it has been long enough since I last did it that I feel like I can do this and not be, strung up for repeating wrecks.
I think the rule that has not been established, but is kind of canonical, like I would say we're relatively consistent on, you can wreck the same thing once a year, as long as there's something slightly different about it every year. But you can't wreck a game and be like, they have a new character, and then a week later be like, they fixed the balance patch on this guy. Like, yeah. There has to be enough to make it feel like a new thing. Did you pay for it again? How about that? That's the question.
I mean, no, but I still think this counts.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to wreck Gloomhaven Digital. And I believe I brought this up before, but here's why I'm going to kind of do it again. It's definitely been at least a year since I have.
Yeah.
They've released several updates since I last played. They updated the graphic packages, like they've really updated a lot. So when I bought the game, it was in early alpha, and they're actually transitioning to the point where the game will be full released at the end of the year. So if you want to get it, it's on sale right now for $20. It's normally $25. I don't know if they're going to up the price once the full game comes out. It's always weird with these early access games on Steam. You never know.
They have specifically said they will raise the price after it is fully released.
Okay,
so
sweet.
we should buy it now if we think we're going to get it.
Absolutely buy it now. Okay. So I've obviously talked about how much I love Gloomhaven.
For people that are new, what is it?
Okay, so thank you, Nando. Gloomhaven is a tabletop board game that is kind of like a dungeon crawler where you have a character with certain abilities, and there's like 20 plus characters. You start with 6. And they're, like, for the most part, your main, like, RPG player archetypes. You got the big, strong character guy. You got the mage. You got the rogue. Your basic templates,
You've
right?
got the mind thief.
The mind thief, who's like a summoner kind of deal. The mind thief's kind of like a weird one that's out there. And then you just go through and you do, like, dungeon crawls. So you have an objective. You got to kill a certain amount of enemies. You got to loot this treasure chest, etc., etc. And in the tabletop game, you do this through a campaign. So it's kind of got like that D&D element or like a video game story element where you're building a story, branches off in several directions. There's side missions until you get to the ultimate goal and you quote unquote finish. There's a legacy board game, as it were. So Gloomhaven Digital, it has all of that, except there's no campaign yet. The final full version of the will have a campaign. Right now, there is it's called the Guildmaster, and it's basically a bunch of connected missions, but there's no real story arc. You just kind of do missions, get gold, level up, get better, and experience the game in every single way except the campaign. So I played with Diggins this past weekend, and we had like a pretty good go with it. The game crashed a few times, but luckily it picks up your save state like right from where you left off. We were at the point where we were like 3 turns away from finishing the dungeon and it crashed, and we're like, if it resets after the crash, we're done here. So it is a little buggy. It is in alpha or beta, wherever they are right now in the development process, but it's a great game. What's nice about this is, I've obviously talked about the board game before because of how much I love it. But the price point is way more reasonable. Way more reasonable. The original Gloomhaven was like $100. This is $20 until March 29th, I think. So you can grab this for like $20 for the next week. And if you want to wait, a little bit, it's $25. But if you're on the fence, I would think about it. And the good thing about Steam games is you can return them as long as you play for under 2 hours. So the price point's very reasonable. And if you don't know people who would want to play it, they have a Discord. And they're always hosting games to play with people, LFG
fun.
Groups. Yeah, and it's really more of that community building. You post bugs there. They have tips for playing if you've never played before. The Discord's amazing. It's a really good Discord. And the developers are very involved with it. So I just think that, when I last recommended it, I'm like, it's this kind of cool thing. We'll see where it goes. But there's much more of a vision for it now. And even in the Guildmaster mode right now that isn't the campaign, just being able to play Gloomhaven that replicates the board game experience so well, I think is a really good opportunity at a really good price point. So I would absolutely recommend it. It could be one of those things where in the future, when the campaign comes out, you could, if you get a group of friends together, you go through the campaign, you schedule nights to do it like you would do like any kind of role-playing game session. And I think Gloomhaven would be great for that. So yeah, Gloomhaven Digital. It's on Steam. It's $20 till March 29th. There's a Discord. I think they have even level editors. They have like a lot of fun stuff you could do with it. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. The graphics, it looks great. The animations are really good. The sound effects and music are all really good. It's a really well put together game. I think $20 for this game is a steal. Because as Diggins mentioned, they are going to up the price, but I have no idea what it'll be. If they'll go to like 60, I have no idea. Because, just from the campaign alone, it's a lot of game. There's over 70 scenarios, I think. So yeah, it's going to be huge. So yeah, Gloomhaven Digital, check it out.
I cannot wait. We're definitely going to have to stream it together or something at some point.
We could do a mostly nitpicking Guildmaster Gloomhaven thing. I think it'd be sick.
I just downloaded it, so
Oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah, I figured, it's like I don't buy that many games. I play the same game 80 times, so I can always afford to get a new game. Also, you gave me the Railroad game the other day, so I feel like it's good to have options for games you can play together.
All right, sweet. So, yeah. That'll be fun. We'll have to do a mostly nitpicking Gloomhaven Digital stream. That'll be fun.
Cool. Diggins, what about you?
I also played a board game digitally over this past week. Although this was just on Tabletop Simulator, so really the like full experience is just buy the board game. But anyway. I played a game with my friends called Whitehall Mystery. This is a game where one player is playing Jack the Ripper, and the rest of the players are London police. And it's called a hidden movement game. So what that means is the Jack the Ripper player has like a big screen, a whole little map showing the same map that the police characters can look at, but they move along this map following their rules secretly. The police players don't know where they are or what moves they make. The police players then have to coordinate moving around this map, trying to find clues about where the Jack player has been and track down where he is now so they can catch him. And arrest him before he does 4 murders. If the Jack player does 4 murders, then he wins, which are predetermined spots that the Jack player picks before the game starts.
I love the phrase "does 4 murders." That's terrific.
Yes.
As long as Jack doesn't do 4 murders, we're probably all right. He did 4 murders. No, I like that. Murders as a plural is hilarious.
But yeah, it's a very simple game, all things considered, but it's really wonderfully tense if you're playing as Jack. Just hearing the police players strategizing, theorizing, trying to figure out where you are. Like if they say something that's right and then talk themselves out of it, just that feeling of they almost had you, but you slipped away is so good. And then conversely, when you're playing as the police, just the kind of like puzzle of it, of like feeling like you're slowly closing in on the Jack player, eliminating possibilities, slowly tracking them down until they have to get more and more creative to slip past you. It's really, really good. It's 2 to 4 players, so you can have 1, 2, or 3 people playing as the police, and then one person as Jack. And just if you have any interest in like designer board games, I think this is a really, really great one, and it's definitely worth checking out. So that's Whitehall Mystery. It's like $30 on Amazon for the physical like board game version, which is really not bad for a board game at all. So yeah, that's my rec for this week.
All right. I'm also gonna rec a movie. No, I was trying to think of like a video game. I played Ticket to Ride with you guys. That was fun. I've never played that before. So that's a fun game for people that aren't familiar with that. Although the India map, not as fun as you might think. It's too vertical for a computer game, but also it's a like we played the European version, right? Whatever the base one was first, and it was
Europe is not the base version. The base version is America, but Europe is a fairly standard version.
So we played the Europe one, and there was people were taking each other's routes sometimes, and it wasn't the biggest deal. We played the India version, man. The first 5 or 6 moves immediately like forced other people to completely rethink their strategies, because like you can only get out of export some 2 or 3 ways, and it was brutal.
It was chaos.
Yeah, I did not care for it. I'll recommend a couple things. So real quick, in my ongoing saga of reading every X-Men comic ever, I started reading something called Children of the Atom. Is that what it's called? No, Battle of the Atom. Sorry. Because Children of the Atom is what they're called, and then it's also the name of a new comic, which I also read, because it's like that one's brand new, or the first issue of. It's interesting. Battle of the Atom was a thing, like I kind of talked about the run-up to this, where like Beast took the old baby X-Men and brought them into the future, like the present day, but then Battle of the Atom is all going on, and it's a big problem. But then a bunch of future X-Men show up, and they cause more problems. And they're like, guys, you shouldn't have done past X-Men. And then other characters start showing up, and you're like, who are these guys? And it's a really fun, just wild story. So I really enjoyed that. There was like a whole book, like a volume of like 7 or 8 issues. That was what. And you know what's nice? Sometimes you want to read like although Wolverine and the X-Men stories or whatever. Or like I'm doing. I was reading I'm still reading the what's it called? All New X-Men stories. And you buy All New X-Men 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those are 5 volumes. You could buy like an omnibus, but either way, you buy all of them and you go from 3 to 4. And in 3, all the characters leave or whatever and go somewhere. But then in 4, they're all in a completely different place, and you're like, where did they go? And then you realize Book 3 ends with issue 15, and Book 4 starts with issue 18, and issues 16, 17, those are in like some other collection. So what's nice about this Battle of the Atom thing is it's got a couple of issues of one book, a couple of issues of the other book, but it like completes the whole story, so you don't miss anything, which is nice. But anyway, so I read that. That was great. I also read, I know I said I was going to read this last week, but I finished it that night. Lady Killer, which is by Joelle Jones. It's, like I said, 50s housewife who is also a hitman. It's so good. I loved it. And I'm shocked this has not been made into a movie or series yet, because it is so entertaining and just like such a cool premise. I have a feeling something like this will materialize on some streaming service or something, because the hyper-violence of it is fun, but then also the fun part of it is like she's a contract killer secretly, and then she also has a family, and the family drama is sometimes more difficult than the contract killing, and like she's able to do that really easily, but then she gets home and it's like, where you been, honey? And that's the hard part. So that's very fun. Other thing, speaking of speaking of things that were funny in the 70s, this doesn't even work. I watched the Muppets movies this week. Muppets 1, which is the one from 2011 with Jason Segel, and then Muppets Most Wanted from 2014. Muppets 1 with Jason Segel, fine. It's an entertaining watch. I don't think Jason Segel and Amy Adams really had anything to the proceedings, and there's plenty of time where it's just them and no Muppets, and it's not as good. Muppets Most Wanted is so funny. I think that's far superior, like just a way better movie as a fun Muppets romp. I think the new characters that introduces are hilarious. All the people are great. And also, are you guys familiar with Muppets Most Wanted? Kind of what the pitch for that is?
I can't recall.
Evil Kermit and Constantine, the world's deadliest frog, is some sort of, I guess, Russian. He's not necessarily Russian, but he's like shown originally in a gulag. But anyways, he speaks with a Russian accent. But he switches himself with Kermit, which is where that meme comes from, where one of the Kermits is like in a Darth Sidious hood, and he's like, "Do it, Kermit!" Like that's a scene from that movie. But just this. So Kermit goes to jail. Real Kermit goes to the gulag run by Tina Fey. Very funny, and a lot of good. This movie, even more than the original, like the 2011 one, full of musical numbers. They're all great, like really fun musical numbers, including the gulag one. But Constantine takes over Kermit's spot, but pretends to be Kermit and does a Kermit impression, but it's like, "Hello everyone, Kermit the Frog here." It's so funny. It never gets old, and all the rest of the Muppets have great interactions with Kermit. Globetrotting adventure, full of cameos, and not like the cameos where you're like, they pass a guy in like a, famous, like in Muppets 2011, there's like the bit where, they're doing their charity-a-thon thing. And, oh wait, did I wreck this last week? Or did we talk about this last week?
So I can't remember if we talked about it.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, but I had a feeling I didn't watch this till the weekend. But anyway, so there's a bit where, they go to the stage show, and just the kid from Modern Family and Selena Gomez, someone else I can't remember, just backstage are like, "We're celebrities, can we be in it?" Which I'm used to from Muppet stuff, and I think that's great. But in Muppets Most Wanted, there are some cameos where a delivery man walks on screen, hands someone something, and leaves, and that's a guy, and you're like, whoa, was that who I thought it was? And you go back and watch it, and it was, and it's like, it's wild. But I totally get it, because if I'm a celebrity, I'll fucking be in the Muppets movie. Put a wig on me and just let me walk behind the Muppets. And that's awesome for me. Like, I think that's so... I could see any celebrity being totally cool with that. But yeah, so I loved it. I would say Muppets Most Wanted. Like, I think both of them are fun. And for the continuity of it, I guess it kind of helps if you don't know who the new Muppet is. But if you only have time to watch one and you're okay with just going like, there's a Muppet in there that I don't quite get, but his whole thing is he's the everyman Muppet, skip to Most Wanted because it's so funny. And it starts where the first one ends, which is like all of the Muppets at the premiere with Jason Segel and Amy Adams, but you only see the back of Jason Segel and Amy Adams look-alike actors' heads, and then those characters walk off screen, and then Muppets Most Wanted starts, and we never reference them again. So you really don't need to.
That's pretty good.
It's so good. And that first song about like we're doing a sequel, but we don't really know what to do with it is so funny. So yeah, Muppets Most Wanted. I think like as much as I love comics, love Marvel stuff. That's like my main like fandom. I love Star Wars. That's probably my second biggest one. I would say my third one might be Muppets.
That's pretty big.
I've never watched a Muppets thing and not had a great time. Even the ABC show that I don't think is the best one. I could watch that every day for the rest of my life and probably enjoy it because they're just so funny. The Muppets they're great.
So Mickey Mouse truly is your god.
Yeah, he really got me. He really he read my diary and shopped for it all. It's a real shame. I shouldn't have told them to buy Free Solo. That was where I think I should have drawn a line. So yeah, those things are all great. But yeah, all the things that I just said are all on Disney Plus. We need Muppets comics. No, we don't. But it would be interesting. What do we got next week, guys? Diggins, you want to read the thing? How about this as a primer for next week? Diggins, can you read the thing that you put in the chat with no context whatsoever?
I would.
Because we have none. There's no context for this image that you gave us. But yes, please read that. It's terrific.
Okay. Zack Snyder's Justice League is a colossal continuing chapter of a series of DCEU films whose narratives explore the possibility brought by an awakening human legacy and the gift of responsibility brought to us by free will. Stories are change machines, dreamscapes that contain both the path taken and the unrealized possibility of all other foregone ways. Stories give us a space to listen and the ability to wake to a new understanding of what is being asked of us. All the heavens and all the hells we carry within us. More than just a summation of these initial films, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, Snyder's vision asks us to examine our contributions to the stories we engage with and the world we make possible when our human story is realized. Stand, fight, discover, heal, love, win.
What? Heal?
Win makes so much sense to me. That is all the Snyder Cut fan. They just want to win. This is a win for them. It makes so much sense.
I get win. I don't get heal.
I mean, heal in terms of like Superman heals from the dead. Listen, if you told me that Zack Snyder screams this every time he ejaculates, I'd believe it. Just like this whole sentence is his whole. That's it. It just feels so. Like, there's so much fucking... You could...
I mean, I would absolutely describe this as masturbatory.
Yeah, it's just tattoo... like, the same way that Damaged is tattooed on Joker's forehead, Stories Are Change Machines should be tattooed on Zack Snyder's forehead. That is the most heady nonsense.
You see, Zack Snyder just watched the last season of Game of Thrones, and he was like, wow, they're right. Stories are what unite us.
Oh my god, this is amazing. I'm so excited. And by that I mean like it's going to be the worst, but not like the worst. The movie might be great. Who knows? DJ thinks it's going to be great. He is turned on.
I mean, all the reviews are convinced. There's a little something for everyone. So how could it not be great?
But I have no opinion on the movie yet because I haven't seen it. But this next week is going to be weird for the world. Or no one will talk about it outside of a couple people, and we'll all move on to Falcon and Winter Soldier as if none of this happened. This
is going to skate by.
That would be wild if we all just, like, if everyone that wasn't Snyderverse fans, like, agreed not to watch it or talk about it, and the discourse just existed in that sphere. There's no arguments because all the rest of us just didn't engage. That would be interesting. We can't do that. There's no way. We don't have that kind of discipline, but that would be interesting. Oh, man, I'm excited. So that's next week, Snyder Cut.
Yep.
Zack Snyder's Justice League. Anything to plug before that?
On my end, I got the same Roses and Rejections on the Pop Break Podcast Network. The episode that I guess is just released by the time you're hearing this, covering the finale of Matt James' season of The Bachelor and After the Final Rose.
Do you still hate it?
Yeah, and it's just because of all the bullshit that happened. I'm, like, happy it's over. It was a long haul. And the fact there was no break between the Bachelor and Bachelorette seasons, like, it was just, like, straight on. I'm glad to have a break. We're going to be doing some other reality TV shows and just kind of stuff we like during the interim. So we'll still be putting out podcasts, but talking about other stuff. We're going to talk about The Circle.
Oh.
Of The Circle.
Wait, they're doing another one?
No, we'll talk about the first season. I wish they were doing another one.
I mean, they must be doing another one, right? It just isn't out yet.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened yet. We'll probably cover, like, Too Hot to Handle.
What a fucking bummer that was.
I know, but
never feel okay with Too Hot to Handle. Stunk.
Yeah, but so what we're going to cover different realms in that area, and still update on Bachelor news, but because I don't think we're getting the next season of The Bachelorette probably until like May or June, so we get a break, and it'll be nice to have a break.
Have you seen, DJ, the show The One?
No.
This got recommended to me on Netflix the other day, and I watched about 20 minutes of the first episode. It's about it's not a game, like it's not a reality show, but it's a show where, like, Black Mirror episodes stretched into, I'm assuming, a season where in a world where you send your DNA into a company and they send you your soulmate, and that's the show. And it looks like a mess, not like a mess, but it looks like kind of, knock off Black Mirror, but also maybe it's amazing. I don't know. It was number 4 or 5 on their list of things, so it's kind of Like, oh, maybe that'll be great. Maybe that'll be the next Emily in Paris.
Nice.
Need more of that. Cool.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Diggins, what about you?
I have my newsletter, alittleperspective.substack.com, to check that out. I should have my WandaVision piece up soon, which is mostly written at this point. So probably it's already up, but...
You said WandaVision? Is that a show?
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it seems like...
Yeah.
Is that related to the Snyder Cut in some way?
Yeah, see, the problem was that I was being too topical and my brain rebelled against me. But now that nobody's talking about WandaVision anymore, now I can finish it.
I have the
Always the contrarian.
Same problem. I have a video coming out this week on WandaVision, but I it takes time. You can't hot takes. There's no value in them. They're boring. Cold takes, simmered that have been able to marinate. Now that's a take people like.
Cold artisanal takes,
exactly.
Handmade for your enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's a Twitter, Cold Takes Exposed.
That's right.
That's why that exists.
That's like when DJ says, I want a Paramount Plus. Let me change my thing to Paramount Plus is the worst streaming service ever. That should be on Cold Takes Exposed.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
So many people I watch, not people I watch, but like shows joked at Paramount Plus's expense, but I think they were all shows that were also trying to promote it, like because it's within the Comedy Central network, I guess. It was kind of funny.
It's all Viacom shit.
Yeah. But so you have WandaVision piece coming out.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? Snyder Cut, maybe? Ooh. Or Oscar stuff.
It depends what I have, what sparks my brain to talk about. I'm guessing it's probably going to be, I'm going to have some Snyder Cut stuff to say, I imagine. So I would not be shocked if that ends up coming up soon, too. But other than that, could play it by ear.
All right. What should people do? Should people just carve out 4 hours of their day for Snyder Cut, followed by 4 hours of their day for our Snyder Cut podcast? Do you think we'll be longer than the movie itself?
I hope not. Did you see what Roger said regarding me and the Snyder Cut?
No, what did he say?
So to prove that I actually watch it, I should live stream myself watching the Snyder Cut. So we'll have evidence that I have actually watched it.
Oh man,
what a great idea!
That's what Zach wants to see.
It's a terrible idea. I will not do it.
I think it's a great idea.
Maybe for charity. Maybe you could get a little early Extra Life fundraising.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh God,
that's wild. I mean, I can't believe it's. I'm not ready.
Oh, one last thing before I forget. And again, so by the time you're listening to this, March Madness has begun. Hey, hopefully you signed up for our tournament challenge.
Oh yeah,
if you missed it. Sorry. We should probably send out one more tweet before Friday. In the past, this feels very weird.
I mean, we got a lot of people. We got a fair amount of people in the thing, but also I don't know. Just as for a March between WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Justice League, like we should have this much stuff to talk about.
I know
so much, and Godzilla Kong, which we're not going to do the new one. Like we're not going to do not going to do no. We're not going to do Godzilla King of Monsters. We can listen to our old episode on that. But like, is that next week after? Like the week after Justice League?
It's after Justice League, yeah.
Feel free to go back and listen to that if you need some extra content after this, especially to like hear me and DJ, but not Diggins, I think. This is in pre-Diggins days.
No,
but
I'm not on that one.
Yeah, we hated this. I think that episode's pretty funny, too, because that movie
tore it
stinks.
To pieces.
It still stinks, and I feel good about that. I don't think I'm wrong about it like I was with King Kong.
It wouldn't have been much different if I was on it, because I also really did not care for that movie.
Dude, it's wild. I mean, it doesn't, like, nobody's philosophies make any sense, but it's also just so stupid. It's going to be fun. But that being said, I guess, so yeah, next week's Snyder Cut. Hope everybody is able to watch some of it, enough to get it. You probably get it, and then that'll be it. And then you'll hear us talk about it.
Apparently, it comes with chapters, like 6 chapters, so you could watch it in parts if you wanted to.
Oh God!
I think anyone who does that is a coward, but that's just me.
It's probably
you guys hear some crazy real quick.
What?
Our Godzilla King of the Monsters pod was an hour and 10 minutes long.
See, okay, that's the difference. If I had been on it, that's what the difference is.
Inconceivable to me. It's inconceivable. I'm like, that can't be right. I'm like, oh my God, it's an hour and 10 minutes.
That is crazy.
Wow. Wow.
I've really driven this podcast into the ground.
Or made it 10 times better.
That's all you need. Maybe we'll do the Godzilla King. Maybe it has something to do with podcasts with Godzilla and all the monsters in it. You know, we've only done a solo Godzilla and a solo King Kong with Diggins, but maybe we'll do the Godzilla Kong team up, and it'll also be an hour and 45 minutes, because that's just how much you need to talk about those. It's very possible.
Doubtful.
But yeah, until next week, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye. We love you.